Welcome to Full Throttle Talk, the podcast where horsepower meets conversation. From supercars to classic legends, high revving tech to motorsport mayhem, we cover it all. Straight from the driver's seat, whether you're a gearhead or racer or just love the thrill of the open road, you're in the right place. Buckle up, hit the gas, and let's go full throttle into today's episode.
Nice speed. Everyone just saw it and goes, nice speedster, because it looks like a regular speedster. But then you have to look closely at it and you're like, something is off. And then you go narrow body and you're like, that's kind of weird. So it, I don't know what to think of it. And I don't know if it was like a 5,000 mile cool color car, it would be huge money. We're talking well into the threes, maybe even four, because it's collector grade. This is the guy who wants a speedster to take on a rally. And we'll see. I'm anxious. The car guy in me wants to just drive it. I want to see, like, to me, then if you really want a speedster, the 964 Speedster is the speedster to get, because that is kind of the ethos of the original speedster.
We're going to talk about that today because I thought those things are, you can get one of those for less than 200 grand, which I was really surprised about when I was researching it. Yeah.
And they're good values. And the reason why is because they're narrow body.
Yeah, I agree. And they don't carry around the extra weight. So listen, this is Full Throttle Talk. Welcome back. I'm here with my great friends, Paul and Dave. Casey is taking the week off for some family issues. So God bless you, Casey. Hopefully everything goes great for you. So we're going to be covering our favorite topics this week. And starting with what did you do in cars this week? Automotive news, Restomods for less than 500 grand. I had to boost it up. I was having a hard time finding anything I know. This or that. I got lazy, I suppose. This or that with a twist. And this was Paul's ideas. Sold cars we found that were actually maybe underpriced. So and I've got a lot of extra stuff. I don't know if you guys perused the sheet, but I put some extra ideas in there as well. So without any further delay, what did you do in cars this week, Paul Kramer?
All right. Well, we talked a little bit about this before we went live, which is the coming up Fat Mankai ice races in Big Sky, Montana at the end of February. And my goal is to drive my 944 Turbo S up there from Southern California to Big Sky, Montana in the snow. I'm getting it ready. I'm getting myself ready. It is my New Year's resolution, like we talked about, was to set a goal, not a painful goal, but something fun that's going to require pain to get there. And today I'm going to be walking in knee-deep water for a mile to try to build ankle strength to get ready for snow. But I drove my 944 up to the mountains, Good Vibes Breakfast Club at Newcomb's on Friday. That was my first time driving a manual transmission in the mountains. I've driven manuals just on the freeway. And it worked out really well. I mean, by the end of the day, I was exhausted. It was over 200 miles. The back road all the way through Wrightwood was open, so I drove it on the way back. There was snow, not snow on the ground, but on the sides. And it was really fun. And right now I'm working on getting snow tires. Yesterday we were in the garage with the help of a friend putting the front wheels on the rear to see how they all fit. And I took my 928 wheels. You know how it is if you're a car guy, and Dave probably really knows this. You manage to have insane numbers of wheels, but you never have the wheel you need, right?
Correct. Because you took them off of something else that you didn't really like them on or whatever, and then you stick them in a storage container or something like that, and then you pull them, and they still look shitty over here too.
Yeah, I had over 30 wheels in our storage container, and I couldn't find the two I wanted, found them. But anyway, so we're working on that. And I was thinking about, and Tim knows this, being in Southern California, how fortunate we are. Yes, there's a lot of things shitty about California. I know it. You send me messages about, what we have to pay to live there and the crap we have to deal with. But like on a Saturday when a GT2 Sport Evo or GT2 Evo comes to Cars and Coffee, I mean, I don't know, these are $2 million cars. They made 30 of them at the very, very end of production. They got the 3.8 motor. They were close to.
Can we pause here? Can we pause here? So I want you guys, this is something I've had in our spreadsheet to ask you guys forever. I mean, you guys never indicate that you want to talk about it, but I'm just going to, since there's three of us, we can burn some time here and I don't have to worry about being rude and avoiding anybody. Do you guys think that's the most beautiful car ever designed?
Honestly? No. It's horrible, but here's why I like
No,
it.
no, 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 no. Dave hasn't contributed. Okay,
All right.
that car, or like personally, I think the long hood RSR is the most beautiful car ever designed. Full stop. I just love it from every angle. I can't say that about any other car with the close second of that Frankenstein ass looking thing.
Dave, go
I
ahead,
don't
comment.
personally, not my jam. Like I like the wider body. I like the 4S or something like that, in terms of but the bolt-on fenders, that particular tail and the wing just does nothing for me. I mean, I think it kind of wrecks a perfectly good 993 as far as I'm concerned.
See,
So, but
that's
that's why
why.
Paul likes it, because it's ruining a 993 is really the reason why Paul likes it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because as my friend pointed out, Mike Nesdale, who sees me at Cars and Coffee, and he's a 912 guy, and he always says like, "Why do you keep picking on us 912 guys?" And I'm like, "I pick on you because I love you." He mentioned something. He's like, "Well, I guess you found something new to bully, which is 993. So go for it because you're not picking on my 912 anymore." And I said, "Yeah." But the thing about, and you're right, this ruins a 993 in a sense, but what I've always liked about Porsches, and Tim remembers my Mad Cow 934 creation, was I like this car isn't making excuses. It's not trying to be pretty. It was Porsche going, okay, we need to put even bigger wheels. They started with a 996, a 993 turbo body, and they put flares. They didn't make the flares look great. They literally riveted them onto the car. Oh, we need a bigger wing for downforce. They just put this monster on there. What I think is horrible is people who recreate these. They're mimicking something that's ugly, that's got a specific function, and they're never going to use that function. And even the god awful three-piece speedline wheels that make me want to throw up in my mouth make sense on this car because they were made to be as light as possible, throw the centers away, throw the hoops away, reuse as many wheels as possible. So, and when you look inside on my Instagram, I've got a little video walk around. It's purpose built, homologated. So this was the cool thing about this car. This was owned by tennis pro Helena Sikova, and if you Porsche's always been a big supporter of women's tennis. They're always a big
Hmm.
sponsor, and
Hmm.
if you're a winner or they like you, they just give you cars. So, like Lindsay, I've sold two Lindsay
Hey man,
Davenport.
I'm a winner.
Yeah, you are. I've sold two Lindsay Davenport cars, and they were just basic 996 cabs, 993 cab, nothing special. But Helena would get offered, "Hey, Helena, do you want a 993 cab?" She goes, "No, I want that." And Porsche built that for her. That was her choice of car. She has a 928 Club Sport, super rare. She had a 968 Turbo S, super rare. I would love to have a podcast with her because of all the women tennis players, she ordered the coolest shit. I mean, what a rad person. So that car has a cool history. And just since we have time, I was packing in as many car things as possible because when I do car things, it makes me walk, and when I walk, I get stronger for the ice races. So then Sunday morning, while my wife promised to go to Cars and Coffee, but this was too early. There's a little group of us that meet at Lido on Sunday morning. And I mean, look at those two cars. You have a 911 ST in the communication color, whatever the blue is, and a black on black Carrera GT, just street parked. In fact, they were kind of double UPS style parking, and Teslas were parking on the inside. And I was finally got the guys. I'm like, you guys need to move your cars. Then I go pick up my wife, and we go to another Cars and Coffee at an Italian restaurant in Long Beach. You could see us hiding behind the German cars, but there was Montreal's. That car in the back is a Lancia Fulvia Zagato, which is a really cool car. And then there's the Giulia. And then there was Johnny Morton. And do you guys know who he is?
I do
Um,
not.
Motorcycle racer?
That's Johnny Morton.
Ah,
He
okay.
was really the guy who put Datsun BRE on the map, really got Datsuns into the US market. They were the best Trans Am races in the late 60s. It was just the epic battles between Datsun, Alpha, and BMW. And then you imagine they all looked the same. You could see a GTV in the background. And what's funny is I mean, he loathed Alpha, but he's hanging out at an Alpha event. He's raced at Monterey Historics. He's raced Le Mans. I mean, it's just this is just a weekend in Southern California car culture, which makes all the pain of the other shit we have to deal with kind of worth it. So that's what I did.
Well, I'm not going to talk politics, though I do have to say this is worth mentioning. The newsletter is starting to get a following outside of the podcast, which is kind of fun. Interesting. I wasn't expecting that. If you're not subscribed to the newsletter, it's very easy to do so. It's fullthrottletalk.com, or you can click the link below and it's free. So we've been writing tons and tons of articles. With AI, it makes it a lot easier. You put in the idea and you put in the outline, and it kind of fills in the blanks. But Paul's been writing some fun stuff on old 911s, and now we're getting some contributors, some really unbelievably wonderful content that's being produced by all of you guys. And if you'd like to contribute something, don't worry about it being grammatically correct or all the rest of it, because we're going to run it through the AI editor anyway. So if you've got something you'd like to submit, just message it to. Actually, all you have to do is just, when you get the newsletter, just reply saying you'd like to contribute, maybe attach what you'd like to contribute, and you and I will go back and forth. And I mean, it's a lot of fun. I'm really surprised how successful the newsletter's been. And then at the same time, I'm not, because we definitely have found our people. So Dave, what did you do in the last week?
Well, I'm going to come first before we move on to me. I need to come back to Paul for 1 minute because I really do want to talk a little bit more about this Fat Man Pie ice race. So I'm familiar with it all, Paul, but are you going as not as a participant? Are you going to observe, or what's your
Well,
plan here? Because I'm trying to get in on this mix.
so the goal is to drive up there from Costa Mesa all the way to Big Sky, Montana with my buddy, have the car ready, and if I'm lucky, get to participate in the actual ice race, which is best way to describe it is like a gymkhana autocross on ice. It's more of an
Sure.
exhibition. It's somewhat competitive, but very gentleman. It's more of a show and display. So when you go onto their website, you can go buy tickets, or it says enter a car. I entered two cars, my 911, the green 911 I do rallies, and the 944. I literally got an email back this morning that they said no thank you on the 911. Maybe the 944, which I've kind of made look fun with Dutch police delivery. I think they're looking for stuff that's social media Instagrammable. It's really, when you go to their website, you can see it's an event made to be Instagrammable. I'm trying all my stops. My friend Gen has a 67S. He's driving up. He knows people on the inside. I spent 20 minutes talking to Ferdy Porsche, and it's his event
I
at
know.
his place in Mankai. And of course, I don't have his email. I just DM'd him, which a million people DM him. I'm trying everything possible to get to put my car in the event and drive it. Worst
So,
case, we're going as a just a spectator,
yeah,
hanging out, got an Airbnb, and
Since
just
I
gonna
we're
got to
watch
look at
it.
that against some other stuff going on. I mean, there's another event down in Florida. I think it's around the same time that I may do, but I'd love to do that. I really would. It'd be cool as hell to do that. So I'm
Okay,
going to definitely follow up after this whole thing, and because I was on the website earlier now that you mentioned it. So it sounds like a really cool event. Fun.
Paul, what's your exposure to actual snow? Just out of curiosity.
Um, it's limited.
Okay.
But the guy I'm bringing with me, my friend Joe,
Mm-hmm.
he grew up in the Northeast. So, I was looking for a co-driver. So the perfect co-driver would be grew up in snow, like is a good passenger, good driver, and has mechanical know-how. He's got not the mechanical know-how, but he spends so much cubic dollars at Jerry Woods, which is a premier shop, that I've been on rallies with him. On a Sunday, he's got them on a hot phone. Like they
You,
answer his
you
call.
know what
So
Polymarket is?
what's that?
Have you guys heard of Polymarket? You guys
No.
should
Mm-mm.
check it out. Basically, it's a site where you can go and place little tiny bets on whether it's like gambling in
Oh, okay.
essence, but it's
Okay.
gambling on all kinds of normal things. Well, how many times will Elon Musk, tweet today? Things like that, right? So we should start a Polymarket as to whether or not Paul's actually going to make it through that experience. Because Paul, here's the thing: I grew up in snow in
Mhm.
Ohio, but Montana snow is not normal. And I know you've driven up in that part of the world off, when it's not snowy out. And I'm going to give you a little something that might break your heart a bit. You
Yep.
remember those big freaking poles that you say, what the hell? They have these rando poles that go out of the
That's how
ground
high the snow
eternity.
gets.
Okay, this exactly. So you could very well, okay, just be ready. That's all I'm saying.
So I've been consulting with Jeff Swart. The roads we're taking are going to be there's a lot of spectators expected, so they're going to be clearing the roads. I am setting up my 944, talking to the 944. There's a whole community of 944 rally guys that go snow racing. So I'm setting it up with real ice snow tires. I'll have chains. Even Jeff Schwartz said, and he's been up there, the snow in Aspen is far worse, and he uses his 911s with just ice, like Michelin Blizzacs or the Pirellis. Pirelli does sponsor that car. I'm trying to get a set of Pirelli ice snow tires for it. I'll have an extra. Um, the walking sticks I've already have the modification, turns them into kind of like ski poles with carbine tips, so I could walk. You're right. I have driven in snow up in the mountains, and then this winter, as there's more snow, I'm going to, with those tires, do practice driving up there more and more, and practice walking.
Out in
But
some parking lots or something? Like, I mean, there's
yeah,
not going
like
to be
in the
snow
the
on those
turnouts,
roads.
well, the turnouts fill with snow all the
Yeah,
time, and then the
yeah.
road has snow and ice. I've driven up there; it's great. Believe it or not, of my cars, my 928 is probably the best in the snow and ice. It's
So
really,
damn
really
heavy.
easy. It's 3,100 pounds, not that heavy, but
Oh, come on now.
it's just stable. So yeah, it's going to be hard. When I mention this to my physical therapist, they look at me like I'm nuts. Everyone thinks I'm nuts. I mean, who knows? Maybe I make it. Maybe I don't. I'll make it.
No,
You'll
just
make
doing
it.
it,
You kidding
just
me?
doing it's the adventure. I mean, hell, just having been up.
Yeah.
But have you ever spent time in Montana, like during the, anytime? Well, Julie and I used to drive there. I won't bore you with details, but you got to see the stars in Montana. The first time you actually, have you ever seen the bend in the solar system? Like when looking up the sky, you could actually see the bend in the Milky Way and the whole thing.
Joshua Tree, I've seen that when
Okay,
we
exactly.
there.
I saw that there as well. Montana, it's there's zero pollution and you're higher up, and so the clarity of the stars and the colors, that if that in itself will be the reason to that'll be a great experience if you just get to see that or the Northern Lights,
That's what I'm hoping for is the Northern Lights. That
Yeah.
that is on my bucket list of life things to do.
Julie
And
wants to go to
Oh, sure.
Finland to see the Northern Lights.
I mean, you
That
could
should
go to
be cool too.
Alaska. Alaska will do it.
I,
Yep.
I have all these excuses, but I'm running out of excuses. Yeah. Anyway, that's a different conversation. So
So
I'll
the
go ahead.
shouldn't you not be able to pull some strings as one of the hosts of Full Throttle Talk, Paul, to get some kind of press access or
I
something?
am,
Can't we
I
get in
am,
there?
I'm doing everything possible to try to do that.
I'm
Um,
going to make some calls later as well.
yeah, and if they like the Full Throttle team to be there to report live on the action, tell
We'll
them
have
that
a
you have
car.
two.
We'll sticker up
I'll
a
be there
car and
on
we'll be ready to go.
Yeah, we'll put Full Throttle stickers on the like big ones on the hood.
No, dude,
So
Jules and we moved to Puerto Rico. Well, actually, we moved out of Ohio 17, 18 years ago, so we'd never have to live through another winter. And I ain't going back. I had enough of that growing up.
Yeah. As long
Had
as I'm
that
not
experience.
shoveling it, I'm good with that. So
but
yeah, I mean,
but
I grew up in Syracuse, New York. So
Oh
you
yeah,
want to talk about
worse.
snow, baby? I know snow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
Lakeland.
grew up in Orange County, California. Oh, do I know
No, no,
snow?
he had a different kind of snow, 80s snow,
Yeah.
It is snow. But I remember when I first started driving, and one of my second car I got was an '87 Integra, Acura Integra new, and my dad and I went up to the mountains in Big Bear when it was a snowstorm. He was going to teach me how to drive in the snow. And we found open parking lots that iced over, and I got to do a lot of drifting and stuff I was 17 or 18. No, I was 18. And I remember we were coming down the hill and the car just died. What we think ultimately it was is like a chunk of ice got caught in the clutch and it stalled the car. And we kind of drifted over the side. And I remember it's snowing and it's filling up the side to the door. And my dad and I are seriously looking at the gas tank, going, "How long can we run the heater? How long will we be here?"
Oh yeah, you're getting
And
stranded in the mountains of
yeah,
California.
it was out. I mean, Big Bear's 8,000 feet, and it does get snow. And I remember,
Oh heck yeah.
and this is when my dad said, "Okay, just." We started just inside the car, popping the clutch, like turn the car on, have it idling in gear, and just let the clutch out. And we did that, and it rocked, and whatever was stuck in the thing loosened up, and we drove home. But I would say once a year I drive up to the mountains in the snow and ice, and hopefully
No,
the
man,
track.
it's good. I'm
We'll
glad
see.
it's for you this year, having that as your in cap for the year after the year you've had with
Yeah,
all your challenges is miraculous. And if you don't mind, maybe you could write an article about this and we put it in the newsletter because like
sure.
Dave, I'm sure there's a lot of other people who'd love to do this rally as well and just want more information. So if you could churn something out, that'd be great. Dave, I love the wide body G body behind you. So tell us about that. And what did you do in cars this week?
Well, this was my week in cars. We're getting to the finish line here on this. This is an '85 M491 Targa, which in and of itself makes it somewhat, reasonably rare car. I mean, maybe 60 of them or something along those lines were made and imported to the US. Um, Obviously, guards red, but this car I bought back at the beginning of the year, and it kind of harkens back to our conversation from last week, where we had our listener Matt who asked us questions about how do you, keep these cars from, creeping into your own collection. And candidly, I think this one may creep into mine for a while. So I bought the car. The long story here is the guy who sold this car originally didn't realize it was a real M491. He thought it had been a wide bodied, just a standard U body, somebody wide body. But it turned out after we did some research on it, and I went and got you can't see it because this is black, but the Porsche
Hard X.
specification sheet, right, that shows the build sheet on the VIN number and so on, that we went back and over the last 8 or 10 months or so, we've been bringing this car back, but it got a full paint job. We took the wheels. This car had originally been delivered with these light gold wheels on it, which somebody had turned them into. Let me get out of the way there, but I sent those off to a restorer in Orange County, and they returned them back into the light gold, which I think looks really interesting on this car.
Wait, wait,
And
wait,
while I
wait.
don't
They
have,
were ordered that way with the gold
they were
wheels.
yeah, this was the way the car was delivered.
Is
Wow,
this a
that's. I mean,
US car or gray market?
No, it's a U.S. car.
Huh?
but here's a weird thing. Like red with these frosted gold wheels is a current thing. Like you see GT3 RSs, you've seen them ordered with that
Yep.
frosted gold.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is weird for the 80s. Like that must
Yeah.
have
But
been
this is the way
such
it
a
was
weird
ordered.
thing.
And then the sports seats that are in the car had black piping on them. So
Whoa,
we
that's a cool
redid those
car.
sports seats, and it had, I don't have good pictures of those because we got them all wrapped up still, but it's a neat piece. Somebody along the way, so I'll get your opinion, or I want your opinion on this, guys. Somebody along the way had taken the deck lid off this car
Leave
and
it
put a
off.
straight up deck lid on it.
No wing.
Do you do
Well,
you like it?
do you have the wing? Do you have the
I
wing?
don't have the original wing. So should
I
I
mean,
source one and put it back on,
no,
No
or do I
way.
leave it
no.
the way it is?
I would leave it the way it is. Maybe in the wings source one that you're ready to pull the trigger on.
Yeah,
I mean, well,
I mean, I've got one.
first of all,
I've got.
what you're planning on keeping this car
Yeah,
ish?
I'll keep it for, like, how it goes, Paul. You roll it in, you drive it for a little while, you enjoy it, you get bored of it. Okay, it's
I,
time for
I
sale. So
would
that's kind of the idea.
I wouldn't if you had the turbo wing, great. I would right now just enjoy it. And if a turbo wing falls into your lap on another, like maybe a turbo wing comes on a car that shouldn't have it,
Yep.
then you just put that aside. And then when you go to sell it, say, because you and I know the turbo, if you have a turbo wing car
Look,
already, when you
yeah.
take the turbo wing off, you have to do paint on the deck lid. But if you
Hmm.
want to put it on, you just take that grill off and now you drill holes in the deck lid. But,
You
Tim, you
have a
don't
whole
have to buy
separate
a
deck
whole new
lid.
deck lid. You
No, I
just
know.
buy the wing.
So I'm gonna give you guys some car trivia. Could you buy, ready for this, a
Oh
930
God.
turbo in the US? Trick question. Without a rear wing.
Yes. Yes. I want to
I
say
don't
it's
think.
an M570 package.
Somebody
Is that right?
somebody listening is going to correct me when I give the answer if I
I
get it wrong.
I think there was certainly an option code for wing delete on the
Yep.
M491. I remember that, and it was five something. I
Oh, now
don't
that I'm thinking about that, how
I don't
could
think
you?
you can for the 930 because I
Yeah,
don't
you
think
couldn't.
Porsche likes the idea of fitting the
You
Well,
the
you
could,
couldn't.
intercooler.
you
You couldn't get
could.
the intercooler underneath
Oh,
the.
on a
Listen, guys.
on a 76, 77 and older one, a non-intercooled 930, you could order it without a
You could
deck
listen
wing.
in the 80s, you could, and I know this because I had a friend when we lived in Columbus that had two or three of them. You could actually order a 930 without the rear wing in Germany.
Well, where do they put? How did they fit the
Yeah, have the
intercooler?
intercooler go on it.
I'm trying to remember. He showed me he had to replace the intercooler. I don't think it was in the grill. I don't remember where it was. You guys look it up.
I'll pull out my the red book. If you're a 911 guy, this is a
Yeah.
one of the few things I still use in analog research because they just the AI does not bastardize the results to hear what I want to hear.
But
But I
here's something else that's cool about your car is that fact that it's guards red and guards red, asked Paul for a long time, people, oh, I don't want a red Porsche, kind of like my reaction to black ones. But now guards red being an optional color on the new ones is really coming back and people like guards red again. Isn't that hilarious? And
they do.
what a beautiful color too.
We have, I think I've got six of them in the shop right now, all guards red, six guards red cars.
I
You
can
can see
see
the
it in the
car behind
background.
this car.
I can see
Yeah.
the Targa in the background, and there's
Yep.
something way red.
There's two
And actually,
Targas, both red
actually
behind it.
driving to the shop yesterday, I looked in my rearview mirror and I thought of you, Dave. It was a new GT3 RS like yours, guards red, which you never see. It had the wheels kind of like your
The
M491
gold.
wheels, the gold
Hmm.
wheels and the graphics, but he did the baller move. I know it was a Visoc package, but the hood was painted. So imagine the hood all red.
Oh
It
yeah.
looked it looked so good. And I was thinking, man, you take the graphics off the car, you paint the wheels silver. That would be like you never see GT2RSs or very how many 992s period do you see in guards red? And I think down the road that could be the hot color.
Yeah, for sure. Especially since it's an all new color for the younger generation who are kind of setting the trend for what's cool with the new cars. So in cars this week, I ordered one of these.
That is
No
cool as
way.
hell.
Yep.
That is so cool.
That's rad.
And you know who wanted me to order it? Zoe. Because I had one not like that. I had one that wasn't as cool. And so what we're looking at is a Bachmann, and it's based on a Honda. I forget what CC, it doesn't matter, but a Honda chassis. It's an all-electric e-bike. It comes in e-bike, moped, and full-on motorcycle. It's all the same chassis. And frankly, the only difference is whether or not you have the top speed limited. But isn't that beautiful? And that's exactly what ours is going to look like. Actually, we're getting a different seat, but that's the gist of it. So that's supposed to arrive before Christmas. If any of you guys are interested, if any of you are interested in one of these, let me know, and I'll hook you up and share with you what I learned, frankly, when I was going through the order process. But that's it. So it's like a basically motorcycle chassis, motorcycle brakes, motorcycle suspension. Everything's all the touch points are motorcycle quality, whereas a lot of the other e-bikes, especially the ones made in China, they're not. And that's one of the reasons I got rid of our original one is because this all the crap would fall off. It was annoying, but these things are quite beautiful, and I think it looks really cool too, doesn't it?
I
What's
think
the
that's very,
speed?
very cool looking. How
What
much the
kind of
range? What's how
speeds?
much range on that, Tim? I'm sorry, Paul.
Yeah, range and
What's
speed.
I don't really know, frankly. I mean, I don't really. I just thought it looked
Enough
cool.
to get around the island
I
there
was about to
or
say
around your neighborhood?
one lap around the island. It's set up for that.
Well, I'm not going to take it outside of our community for sure. So this is Steve McQueen's
All right.
Full Triumph. Yeah.
his Triumph. Yeah, so you get the idea of it. He was really obviously into. He's before my generation, but yeah. Anyway, so there you go. That's what I did. And because it was Thanksgiving, we were able to take the 296 out here in Puerto Rico. The temperatures are perfect. They're in the 70s during the day. We took the top down and we did a believe it or not, in San Juan, there's a Ferrari, Bentley, Lamborghini, enormous Porsche dealership. Everything you can imagine is all down in San Juan. So Julie and I, with virtually no other cars on the road, went down and did a Puerto Rican car guy tour, which we had a lot of fun doing. It was great. And
Cool.
Love it.
Do you have like mountain or twisty roads or like
there
what is the
are, I mean,
dynamic driving?
so if you look at Puerto Rico, it's shaped like a kidney basically. And in the center is an old volcano. And so there actually is a mountain road. I've only done part of it. I haven't done the whole thing. All of our friends with Porsches, because there's a shit ton of really nice Porsches here. They do drive up and they call it the Puerto Rican Alps because as you drive up, the temperature starts to drop and there's little restaurants on the way up. And the roads going up that are really supposedly technical, but the higher you go up, the worse the roads are.
Like
Hmm.
worse, you mean
That makes sense.
rocky, paved,
Yeah,
poorly
rocky
paved?
and the edges are gone and things like that. And sometimes if you're caught behind somebody driving really slow, the usual scenario like you run into everywhere, when you go driving. But yeah, so as far as Puerto Rican drives, it's not like living in North Carolina around Tail of the Dragon or, the fire roads in California and things like that. It's nowhere near the same, but still, we had a great time. It was fun. All right, so guys, let's move on. All right, so I can't believe that was segment one. Automotive news. I'll go through mine really quick. And it's not much really to talk about other than the fact I thought this was interesting. Ford is now selling their used cars on Amazon. Discuss.
Oof.
I mean, is it delivery tomorrow, but if you wait for 2 days, you get like $50 off your groceries?
I don't know, dude. And if you put it on
Like
if you put it on a credit card, you get like some, points on your credit
miles.
card. But I thought, so they're not new cars because I'm sure they have franchise laws they had to dance around, but used cars, and the dealers can choose whether or not they want to participate in the Ford Amazon store if they want to. But I thought, is this the way of the future where people are going to be able to buy cars
Well,
online
well, they're
completely?
doing it now, right? I mean, it's
Sort
it's
of.
it's CarMax and it's Carvana and it's all that sort
But
of stuff.
but
Same
here's the thing
idea.
is Ford selling these or are dealers selling? Because I didn't think Ford as a manufacturer was allowed in the US to sell new or used. I thought it had to come from a dealership network.
I think that's the workaround, but technically they're going through Amazon. So the dealer,
Amazon's the reseller. Are they becoming, so here's the question. If Amazon is acting as the dealer in a sense, first of all, where's Ford getting the cars? Are they buying them back from the dealer? And second of all, is Amazon becoming a licensed dealer in every state that they're operating, which is, I assume they want to sell them in all 50 states or at least 49?
I don't know. I don't know the answers to the questions, but I do think it's
Wow.
interesting because it could create a whole new marketplace for, I don't know if I would ever personally feel comfortable buying a car that way, especially a used one. I certainly would a new one. What difference does it make? Those are kind of commodity
Well,
type things.
I mean, what's the difference between buying that on or like an eBay classified or a Craigslist listing? I mean, you see
Well,
the ad, maybe you go look at the car.
I'm reading the press release here right now, and basically it sounds like it's the local dealer is still the guy in the mix, and it's just using Amazon to facilitate the transaction.
That to
So
me makes more sense. I mean,
yeah, it's just another centralized. It's kind of like think of it as a centralized place where all these Ford used car dealers are centralizing their inventory, and so you can look and
Well, so let
um,
me tell you the reason I
check.
thought this was specifically interesting because my normal job obviously is in the real estate space, and it was probably about 15 years ago that I don't, I mean, we had to sign non-disclosures, so I won't give very specific information, but Amazon had played around with getting into the residential real estate business and nobody really knew about it. It's a top secret in the whole thing. And long story short, they have a platform, they have the eyeballs, they have the audience. I wonder if they could create their own bring a trailer. And so when I saw this, that's where my mind went. Because Amazon would be the perfect gateway drug again, because they already have the audience and the eyeballs and the trust, frankly, to be the ultimate online auction site.
yeah.
That was the reason I specifically thought this story was interesting.
I think that makes sense. It would be like the bring a trailer for not the car people, the people who are shopping for, like right now, my sister's shopping for a regular car and she's going back and forth looking at Kia and Hyundai and Mazda and just the kind of cars that normal people buy as a commuter and they don't understand our world. And if they could go to an Amazon, I mean, there's True Car, which is sort of kind of like that. True Car out here is a bunch of dealers putting their inventory together and True Car's trying to act as this liaison to
Right.
make
So
it easy to get financed.
the model's proven, Paul. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is
Oh yeah.
nobody at the size of Amazon has ever done it before, right?
Mhm.
That's the difference.
I
So
mean, I think the dealers shouldn't be afraid. They got another avenue to reach people.
totally, I
They should
agree.
like it. I don't know the downside except for Amazon becoming just this,
I'll tell you the
there are
downside. This is what happens. Okay. So they're not going to try to make any margin on the cars. They might even lose money on the cars. They're going to try to make money on the back end. Essentially the big dealer model. That's where the local dealers are going to care because they're not going to be able to compete.
against like
Hmm.
the large franchise, like the
Right. I
AutoNation,
mean,
those
what
guys.
if, for example, Amazon goes to, so I used to coach the number one Mercedes-Benz salesperson in the world, and he was working at Fletcher Jones. And he had a deal worked out where he could sell his Mercedes to his clients for around $300 to $1,000 less than anybody else could. So no one could ever touch his prices, and the dealership was losing money. on every car he sold, but they're making it up on the back end because they get all the holdbacks and they get all the other things. And because he was selling so many freaking cars, he could go in there and make whatever deal he wanted with, Fletcher Jones, and they complied. So ultimately, and you look at, for example, the Costco model. Where's Costco make their money? You guys know where Costco make their money?
Real estate, owning the property.
Well, that's close, but
Chickens.
chickens, right? Hot dogs, right? No, they make it off memberships. If you look at their financial statements, it's the annual membership where they make most of their profit. And that's the reason they don't give a crap whether or not they make margins on all the products and they can undercut the nearest producer. So if you're selling fucking chickens, right, and you're competing with Costco, you're screwed because Costco can go in there, buy the chickens for less than you can because they can buy a lot more and they can sell them and lose money on them. And so that's what I think if a dealer was really thinking big, that would be necessarily not loving the idea of Amazon going down that road.
Unless it allows that small dealer to finally have a bigger footprint. Like you look at Bring a Trailer, there are small guys out there that suddenly had a platform that they can have the facade of a big, you know, like a Canapa kind of place, and there's still a small mom and
No,
pop.
I get it. I mean, look what like Casey's doing, and you guys to a certain extent, but really Casey's trying to be trying to be a bring a trailer, area rep or whatever the title is. That's
Yep.
actually a really freaking brilliant, business model. You don't, as a seller, you normally don't pay anything on bring a trailer. In case you guys didn't know that. So what these guys are doing, like Casey, is they'll come get the car, they clean it up, they prep it, they deal with all the Mickey Mouse. You don't have to do shit, and they charge usually around 10%. So, there's a 10% you're gonna have to pay. The buyer pays, bring a trailer. I think it's up to 5 grand. So
Five
that's the
five
whole.
per
They,
5% up to
they just
7,500 cap.
yeah, they just bumped it to 7,500 this year.
But can you guys think in our lifetimes, the cooler, bring a trailer has got to be the smartest that everyone made fun of. When you remember at Laguna Seca when they had that crappy little card table and they had a little bring a trailer sign, and everyone's like,
Yep.
"What the
I
hell is that?"
remember. And
And two
Randy's
dudes
giving
just
out like
yeah,
ear things. Like,
exactly, and two dudes just standing there covered with dust, and like they got the worst place to ever set anything. And then they
yeah.
sold it to who'd they sell that to? Hearst Publishing
Hearst was it Hearst Publishing?
for like
Mhm.
no
Yeah,
one knows
first.
for sure, but it was hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
that's
know, it
incredible.
and people in my business, when I'm fortunate and thankful I don't have to rely on Bring a Trailer. I know that there are businesses built where literally if Bring a Trailer turned off the lights tomorrow or changed their model, they could be kind of screwed. And it's the same as
Yep.
the YouTube model. The YouTuber influencers out there, they're watching YouTube change the algorithm. They've got you kind of by the proverbial balls, and
Zillow's
they could.
doing that for real estate people. So
Oh, really?
I mean, I'll tell you guys this, you won't freaking believe it. So when you go to Zillow and you're looking at a house for sale and you say click the contact agent button, you're not contacting the listing agent. You're contacting to an agent who's paying for those leads. That's the way it works. And now
Mm.
they're getting sued 6 different ways, and one of which is under a RICO statute, saying in essence that that's fooling.
Wow.
Racketeering.
Exactly. No, but
Racketeering? Holy crap.
Yeah.
racketeering. Well, anyway, because they're trying to steer. I don't want to even talk out of church here because I'm not an expert on all of this, though I am going to get someone on our other podcast that is and talk about all of it. But I digress. Here's what's fascinating is those agents pay a 45% referral fee back to Zillow for that sale. So if someone ends up buying a $300,000 house and let's say there's a $9,000 commission, before any of their expenses come out, they're paying 40 to 45% back to Zillow for just having connected them with that buyer. Now
Wow. It
that
moth
and when they
kiss
start
and
mafia,
they
when
gotta
they
kiss the
started doing
pinky
that,
ring.
when they started doing that, this was back in 2007, 2008, selling buyer leads, they were charging 20 to 25%, which is the normal in the real estate industry for a referral fee. And what happened is all these brokerages and these teams have started to form, and their entire business model, to your point, Paul, has been predicated on buying these buyer leads. So they don't know how to generate their own leads. And now what Zillow's done is just slowly tighten the noose. So yeah, they're getting rug
Yeah.
pulled. That's what's
You
happening.
know, and Casey and I have talked a little bit about this. I really want to push them. First of all, when you have a Bring a Trailer account, it cracks me up that if you're a business like Casey's group was a Group C curation,
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
should be your handle. And every picture should have your license plate frame. You should do everything you can when you're getting on Bring a Trailer to convert those
Off
viewers
bring a
to
trailer.
Bring a Trailer and
Right.
build your network because at the end of the day, you know, it took me 20 years, but like the last 7 cars we've sold, I didn't even get on the website. Like I got on the website as a courtesy just to share the information. And you want to build a tight network of people that know your business so that if
Sure.
Bring a Trailer gets sold off again and goes somewhere else, you don't sit there going, where did all my clients go?
It's something that again, I don't want to talk about real estate. I do this podcast so I don't even have to think about freaking real estate. But it is a section of a book Julie and I wrote in 2019. It's called "Don't Build Your Mansion on Land You Don't Own," and that's what we're describing. So to your point, Paul, I agree. And what you just said there, which I'm sorry, we're talking business, but if you guys are in the formation phases of deciding what you want to do professionally, you've got to do exactly what you just said, and you've got to form a newsletter. You've got to, generate the lead, keep the branding consistent, and then take them and put them in a newsletter because your email list, more than anything, especially now, is more valuable. And also to what Paul said, all the Instagramming and all the social media stuff, all that stuff is ubiquitous, especially in this age of AI. And I'm not going to get started anymore because I could talk about this for 3 hours straight. Easily I could. All right. So
Yes.
Paul, you are talking about something.
Something a little different that I until last week I didn't even know this existed, and as I dug deeper into it, I was like, "This is a TV mini series. This is a Pablo Escobar level
What is it? Remember,
craziness."
listeners. Yeah.
So what we have here is a 2002 Mercedes CLK GTR Roadster. They made 6 of these. I think they made total CLK GTR, which is the road-going version of the late 90s Le Mans car that famously flipped, would catch air and
Flipped. Yeah.
fly, and then they made
Yep.
road ones, and their estimated value is $13 million. Well, now what's special about this, and these photos were literally shared intentionally by the FBI. These are FBI photos, and it was seized from a alleged Canadian Olympic snowboarder, Ryan Wedding, his last name's Wedding, who has turned into a drug kingpin. Now, I'm sorry, I don't follow the drug kingpin world. He's now one of the most wanted people on the FBI list, and they say,
50 million. That's
yeah,
what they'll
and
offer
is it
if you
50
can get
million? I
them.
thought it was 15 million, but it's
Maybe you're
millions.
right. Maybe I heard it wrong, but
But
it's a lot of money.
I mean, the FBI is saying this guy is as bad, if not worse, than Pablo Escobar. Um, I can't remember the other El Jefe. They call him El
El
Jefe,
Chapo.
El
El
Chapo.
Chapo.
I mean, he
Hmm.
has. It was funny that listening to a podcast about that. They talked about how like there's this at least decorum among drug kingpins where they don't kill like necessarily innocent people. Like if they run across innocent person, they don't kill him. He does. I mean, he is, and you see him. He looks like a Southern California. What's up, bro? I mean, he looks like a surfer, snowboarder dork. I'll probably get now a hit on my
Yeah, exactly.
family.
This story is making me
Exactly.
nervous.
Watch
Can
what
we
you're
move
saying,
on,
So,
Paul.
please? Now
but
you're
but here's a
literally, you
but
went
here's
from,
the he bought this car, or at least his accountant or the person doing the money laundering. I mean, on one hand, hey, we can launder $13 million like that. And by the
Paul,
way,
okay, stop for a second. Let's talk about that because that's actually an interesting topic. And I'm going to ask you guys this because I do know people that have done this in the past. Do you guys know people that buy cars, never flip the titles, keep the titles in the old owners' names, and just essentially make it so that the title never transfers to them? And then they can pass the car along, sell the car, make it a profit, never have to report it. Do you guys know that people have done that?
yep,
Sure.
I've seen people for sure. We
Flipping
we
titles,
get
right?
cars, we get cars, and I go, well, who's this on the title? And they're like, well, that's the guy I bought it from. I go, you bought it from him like 5 years ago. Like, what am I supposed to
But are
do
they
with it?
flipping it or are they just being lazy?
I would say they use lazy as the cover for them flipping it and not paying the fees. Now, with the whole Montana LLC, some of them have smartly put it in the title in their LLC, which is better than just leaving it open title. But some of it are lazy. I would say most of it is I'm going to buy this car. I'll drive it around with the plates that are on it. Who cares? I barely drive it and then I'll sell it and I don't have to pay any fees. In
So,
California, it's getting tough to do that.
So I've known
Hmm.
people who have bought vintage Ferraris in particular in Europe, kept them in Europe, never took delivery, never brought them to the United States, and essentially kept them over there for a year or two or however long, and then listed them with the broker and never took title to it. And people have done that for a long period of time. And that technically is money laundering.
Oh, yeah,
I
you're
thought we
right.
were going down the hardcore money laundering conversation though. Like,
No,
guys that
yeah,
are buying these cars and
yeah,
and
like
clearly there's a couple of dealers around here that I truly wonder about where the hell the source of these funds is because they've got a whole bunch of very high dollar cars, and I guarantee they're not all on floor plans.
yeah. So,
But
so here's a
I
big question
digress.
about this CLK GTR. The FBI mentioned one thing which kind of just hurt me inside. Oh, maybe we'll crush it as an example. Like you remember when
Oh,
yeah, you remember when the Land Rover Defenders were coming in
in the Mini
illegally and
Coopers and
the
all
Mini
that.
Cooper and they were just
Yep.
crushing them just to prove a point. Okay, those are 20, 30, $40,000 cars that there were replacements. Like first of all, that would be stupid because at the very least, go put it in auction and take that money and go use it for something good.
Pay
I'm
the
sure
reward. That's what you're going to use to pay the
you're
reward
going to
there.
pay
That's
the
why they bumped the
reward.
reward.
But then the other thought was like, okay, can you imagine this at like a normal police auction? They're doing like, police cruisers, and all of a sudden, and the guy's like, oh, we have a Mercedes. It's a 2002. The blue book value is 13 million. Do I hear 12? And and then if you buy this car, is that like is that a cool thing? Hey, I had one of the biggest kingpin drug lords who killed people allegedly, and this is his CLK money laundering vehicle?
This
Like,
is where
Sure.
Casey should have been on today's show because he would had the perfect snarky comment right now.
you
That would
would.
be the perfect way to end this segment. So we don't have to hear about this anymore because I'm still reeling over the fact that you basically probably just pissed off what evidently is one of the most sociopathic drug dealers in the world. Paul Kramer said it, and it wasn't either of us. We're good.
Maybe
We love Olympic skiers.
he can join our newsletter and he can write an article and rebuttal, which we would
How did he
appreciate.
find this car?
How did he
Dave, I
find
know.
this car?
Oh,
Exactly. Did he drive it?
Dave, you had something cool that I didn't even know about. Oh, I did see those pictures on Instagram. All right,
Well, I think this is really, candidly, I think this is more clickbait than
let,
anything
well,
else
let's
because
talk about
because
it. The
yeah,
Seamus Design Studio uses 996 style headlights on a modern 991, and you're saying it's a pretty good results. And so you're putting up the
yeah. I
picture.
mean, I look at it. I mean, again, I'm not suggesting here. Here's another picture with the two side by side. But if you're on and watching on YouTube here, you can see this. But they took a modern 992 and they figured out a way, at least, through graphics and whatnot. Let me get out of the way
I
there
mean,
to.
especially with those dorky wheels, it looks a little AI generated.
Oh, it's totally AI generated. That's my
Now,
point. I don't think that's my point about the clickbait here is that once I really dug into this, I think this is all just AI generated stuff that they did. But I just thought it was interesting that someone would pick this up in the car world and in the car press and push it out here, basically just to kind of show, hey, um, you know, it's good news for the 996 folks because they're looking at that going, okay, yeah, I can kind of see that. That looks like to me though more like air intakes right there than it does like the directionals that are normally there on those 996 lights. But I just
I
thought it was
mean,
kind of cool. I thought it was an interesting design study, and it's got the hollow spoke turbo wheel
You're
looking
still trying to
thing
sell
on
it
there,
to us.
turbo twist wheels.
You're still trying to sell it. So
those, yeah, those wheels look like OZ wheels from the 80s. They
Yeah, they do.
and okay, cool air vents, but if you're gonna put air vents on the front, and by the way, look at the gills on the bottom. They have enough
Don't
air to
I don't
cool
like
a
those.
large house. But if you're gonna do air vents up there, I'd rather see NACA ducts, which are, I think, the best, coolest looking air vents on a car. Do
all
you
right,
guys like NACA ducts?
who doesn't, right? So
Yeah.
all right, let's move on. So we're going to do a pop quiz, and then we're going to get to what I think the heart of today's show will be, which is Restomods less than 500 grand. And we did find some for less than 250. Oh, and this is going to be your opportunity, Paul, to show some love to your 912 fans because there were some badass 912 Resto mods. Hopefully you picked one of those up. All right, so here's the pop quiz question. And I thought of this one specifically for, I call him Kramer when I know he's about to bother me. So this
Yeah.
one I thought of specifically for Kramer. What supercar is worth more when it has no stripes, which were a high dollar option when new? Which car is worth more with no stripes? That was let's call it a supercar. It's a modern classic. Let just help you guys focus in on here. Now, then, even though the stripes were a high dollar option originally.
Okay, so for those who know
Hmm.
me, and if I don't know if my friend Kip is listening, because he knows that I have, among many things I hate stripes on cars. It it has to be so right. Like it's very, and it's one of those things hard to describe. It's either
Is this your
99% of the time
guess?
it's wrong, but my guess is a Ford GT, the 2005 generation Ford GT. Everyone in the beginning, you had to order the four options, which was stripes, the wheels, the Macintosh stereo, and I'm going to kill myself. I can't remember the fourth option. But now everyone ordered all four options. Believe it or not, the value ones are no stripes and the base wheels. We sold a white with blue stripe Ford GT. The guy who bought it, best Instagram, the Instagram account is called Lambert fucking Guinea. And I'm just quoting the Instagram account. He bought it, sent it to Michigan to the guy who was what's his name, who did the design, the young guy who did the design of the Ford GT. He has a shop where for special customers, he's redoing the car the way he originally wanted to do it, and Ford wouldn't let him because of it, prices were getting out of control. He painted it, completely stripped it, painted it all white, base wheels, some non-functional vents made functional, and I thought he was nuts. And it looked so good as plain white. I mean, it
Are
looked
those
like
cars
the original.
alloy? Are they made of metal? What are they made out of?
They're I think some steel and some aluminum. I don't know
Yeah,
for
I think
sure.
so too. I don't think it's all aluminum.
No, no, not all aluminum, but that's my guess because I think now when you
I
see a
think you're
factory non-stripe car, it probably adds 25%.
Is that your answer,
he
Dave?
that though without I
Oh,
know
you
for a
guys
fact because
suck.
I
You both
saw the
got it
car. I
right.
think you probably
Well, I'm
saw it,
sure
Tim.
there's
It was a
probably a
red one,
Ferrari
wasn't it?
Scuderia that without the
No,
stupid stripe.
Ferraris with the stripes, and a nice job slipping in stupid. Ferraris with the stripes are definitely worth more, especially in the special series cars. But it is fascinating because it really, so like why is a touring worth more than a GT3? Same car basically, but the touring is worth a shit ton more. And I'm really shocked what the 991.2 GT3 Tourings are doing now in resale. 300s? Are you kidding me, people? What are you thinking? Sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but there you
No,
go.
I agree with
Yeah,
you on
but
that,
why,
Tim.
why, 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 why? Explain to me why there's almost a $75,000 difference between having a wing and not having a wing. And I wonder if that's going to carry through. This is for you, Paul, to the new Corvette ZR1X,
Ugh.
which has, you can get that with no wings, nothing, and it's still gonna have 1,250 horsepower. And I wonder if the plain Jane versus Kim Kardashian version is ultimately going to be the more desirable car. Time will tell.
No, it won't because the guys who buy those,
Here we
they
go.
want to scream, "Look what I got." And they're gonna have to have, all of this stuff. They're a different buying group than the GT. You think the GT3 buyer is gonna go get a Corvette because it does everything better on paper, but in the end they're not. So the same New Balance jort wearing guy is gonna buy it and order all the stupid wings and shit, even though they can order it without. So it won't make a difference. It won't do the GT3 touring thing.
Do you have an opinion on this, Dave?
It'll
Can't
make it
stop.
more rare, maybe, but I don't know how the car stays on the road without all the downforce that wing is going to require here when you're going 200 miles an hour.
Do you guys know that
Nate,
it's
who's going to
1,200
drive at 200 miles an hour? None of those buyers are going to drive at more
it,
than 55
Well,
to
you
the cars
can't.
and
There's no
coffee.
place to do it other than the track.
and that's 1,250 to the wheels. That's not even crank horsepower, which is incredible. And so the Z06 or the ZR1 with 1064, that's, to the wheels. So what's that actually producing at the crank? Oh, 1,200? Who the hell knows? It's incredible. I
Insane.
I know you guys don't care, but
You're going to have one, Tim. We know. We're just
I'm
waiting
gonna
for
get
the
one.
color
Sure.
choice and
I'm,
all
I'm
that. You're going
definitely
to
gonna
have,
get one, but I'm not
yeah.
gonna pay overage and I'm not in a rush to get it. I don't have room for it, to be honest with you. I'm out of space. But as far as it just
That's easy.
it boggles my mind. I'll have to build another barn. It boggles my brain to think that I watched something on one of these YouTuber guys. I forget which one it was, Doug DeMiro. And Doug was talking, maybe it was Doug. Anyway, he was yammering on about how essentially brands for younger people don't mean anything. And I think that's true. Like I saw that again, sorry to bring in real estate, but I saw nobody cares what real estate brand you're with. People do business with the individual at the end of the day. And that same thing's going to happen. It seems to be happening in cars because if all of a sudden the Ferrari USPs of being the fastest and being the this is and the other things, and the same goes through with Porsche, like Porsche, as long as they hang on to the manual transmission, they're going to probably be good. But I really do think we're getting to this point where all of the cars are going to be so similar. It's going to come down to just I don't even know how you're going to differentiate it. It's confusing to me. I can't make my mind of it. That's the reason I think ultimately people are going to lean back into the old cars. That's the reason I think you guys are positioned perfectly because they're going to want something that's unique. Anyway, sorry for rambling. You guys have any opinions on that?
No, I
I
mean, I
agree.
hope you're right. I hope you're right. I mean,
Me too.
you know,
I got a
I
business
have,
built on that. I hope you're right, Tim.
yeah, I've dropped my anchor on anything that's older.
Well, tell me why I wouldn't be right, right? Tell me why that premise wouldn't be right. Other than people, most people buying nice cars aren't car people. They're just doing it for styling and profiling, right? They don't really give a crap about cars. And to buy an old car, you better have some tolerance for old car things. That's the only reason I can
Yeah.
think of why that wouldn't be right. I think personally, what I feel personally is a rejection. I was just offered a new Ferrari 849 Testarossa, and I mean, you can set aside the looks and you set aside your personal opinions. I'll put some pictures up of what those cars look like for those of you guys who are playing on the YouTubes. And, maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it. Here's a picture. Okay. Well, here's a better picture.
Yeah.
So,
I
you
like the
know,
other one better. I
okay.
like the other picture better
Oh, well, here, you like
of
this
the
one
back.
better. Here's the,
Oh,
I do
well,
too. Actually, I think the back looks really cool, actually. But so that this car all in is going to cost, I could check my text. This Ferrari texted me offering it to me, is going to be somewhere with options, probably close to $700,000.
I can think
Okay.
of so many other things I'd rather own.
Oh, me
Well,
too.
and multiples, right? Honestly, that's where my
Yeah.
mind goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I can build a garage of all of the cars that I need to own. I mean, there's a temptation. I still want a Lamborghini Countach, and that would probably take almost all the 700. But if I was going to buy one car, I'm an old car guy. I'd want a Countach over the new flavor. But I would say you're right about who are buying the new stuff, like the Ferrari Testarossa and some of these other brands. I would say Porsche buyers, new Porsche buyers, especially, the GT product line, I would say they're different. I say they are somewhat enthusiasts. Of course, they've got their eye on, they think that they're day traders and they're going to make money on it. They're horribly wrong. It's getting tighter and almost impossible to do that. I mean, look at the ST market.
There are
There was
no,
another.
I get
Yeah,
emails from brokers that try to sell spots. And the last email I got from this guy says he's able to secure any new 911 position at no overage. And even the overages on his GT cars has shrunk dramatically. Like it's been
yeah.
halved.
Yeah, I mean, so the people buying, I think Porsche's always been that weird, unique thing with new buyers. I think it is a nostalgia thing a little bit, but it's also performance. And I would say new Porsche GT market buyers are more enthusiasts than, let's say, the Ferrari buyer.
More by this much, honestly.
Yeah,
More by
yeah,
this much.
and it's narrowing. It's
It
narrowing
is
and narrowing.
narrowing because the G, like what Dave's car is, which is honestly, I think it's the think of a cooler car than a new GT3 RS. I mean, for the money at sticker, not for what they sell
Hmm.
for. That car is
Hmm.
just ridiculous for what the value you get, relatively speaking. It's just
Yep.
phenomenal. Cool car. This, that, and the other
And
thing.
Dave, it's
But
almost perfect. Just should have ordered the hood painted. That was
no,
it.
I like that hood. I don't listen.
Got to go with the hood,
I
Paul.
like the hood.
Can't, I
Um,
can't, I can't. No,
but
if you're if you're putting it
you
on, you got
add
to
weight.
flaunt it.
Yeah, exactly. But that car is an Instagram car. That's the thing. And I think Porsche is going to start leaning in big time to the Instagram flashy colors, fancy interior types, because that's where the money's at. So, in any event, let's move on. I think I got everything, didn't I? Yes. All right, move on. Resto rods for less than 500 grand. And then we originally started this out, listeners and viewers, by saying Restomods for less than 250 grand, but there actually aren't not that many out there. I've turned my vacuum off. The thing I did think was fascinating, because I did end up writing 4 articles for the newsletter on this, doing it different price segments of Restomods, looking for guys that actually have track records of not just taking orders for them, but completing them and delivering them. And then I was looking for ones that completed, delivered them, and then they had a resale track record, and I provide all this in the newsletter, so make sure you guys subscribe. But the number of companies that are producing not just vaporware, Restomod 911s worldwide is extraordinary.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I couldn't believe it. There were at least 20 that it came up with. I was using AI to search it. And then I knew of some others that it didn't know about. And then I said, show me the complete list. And the list goes almost 40 different companies
I
that are
mean,
making Restomod G bodies and 964s.
technically, Dave at Sonderworks,
I'm
you're
one.
You're one.
I'm low production though. I'm very low volume. I'm a low
Exclusive
volume.
production. Exclusive
Very
production.
good. Exactly. I got to put that on the bumper sticker or something there. Exclusive.
Um,
Exactly. But
I mean,
I, you know,
I think it's the reason for 911s is because one, there's an appetite for them. Everyone wants a singer on a budget to some degree, or they want to do something that singer won't do. And number two, they're such a great platform. They're the same freaking car for 35 years, and they can do all kinds of stuff outside of the 997 backdate ones we talked about a few, episodes ago. I don't understand that. But yeah, Tim, to your point, I looked at it a little differently, which is there are ones that it's kind of like if you've gone to Costco, it's the Kirkland. I look at it like the Kirkland brand of Restomods, where it's the same exact product. It just doesn't have the polo
not
horse or
Gucci.
or Gucci on the collar.
You mean as far as the resto rod? Be more specific what you're saying. I don't
So for
understand.
instance, here's a perfect example. This one here is a 73 911T RS Tribute. It looks like your basic RS clone, and it's not a backdate. It's a real 73. One of the tricks I always look for, the first thing I look for is look at the horn, and Dave knows this assembling these cars. Look at the horn grill to the fender to the bumper to the hood. Like when
Hmm.
I see it like that, I'm like, okay, this was a good build. That is one of the hardest things to get right. And you'll see them where they'll be at this sort of goofy angle or like that. You've seen them, Dave, because
Hmm. Sure.
that is a pain in the
Sure.
ass to get right.
Funky
So
because you
I
can't get
first,
the grills sometimes to fit correctly either. And
yeah.
based on if you're doing a mod on the fender or not, you've got to work the grill even to get it all to fit nicely sometimes.
So I see this thing, I'm looking through it and I go, oh, look at the interior. It's
Hmm.
not it's not crazy. It's sort of conservative. It looks like an older build. And then I look at the engine and I
Hmm.
go, F me. Like,
Hmm.
and then I look at the build. Guess who built this? Jeff Gamroth, Rossport. Rossport, who
Hmm.
builds Gunther Work engines, who builds Emery engines, who, by the way, builds cars. And this car was built in the early 2000s. That's a 3.8 liter Motec engine. I think it was dynoed at the wheels, 325 horsepower, 275 torque, in a car that probably weighs 2,400 pounds, 2,500
Hmm.
pounds, maybe
Hmm.
less. I mean, and it sold recently, or no, sorry, it bid to 203,000. It didn't sell. I know why. It's signal yellow. It doesn't have, if this was built to an RSR body, which I kind of don't like, I like this RS body. If it was built to
Hmm.
RSR body, I think it would have sold for 250. I think he wants 250 for it. But my point being is this is buying a name brand that doesn't have the name on the on the shirt pocket, and you're getting the same thing for a fraction of the price. So that's kind of like my Kirkland brand take. And I
The
love this
interior
car.
lets that down. That's why that didn't go. The interior lets it
Yep.
down. It's just too plain Jane.
And but this car was built in like 2002. Like this
Yeah,
is
I
how
mean
we were
it's
building
not that.
hot rods then.
I mean, that's obviously the way the car might have come in terms of the RS door cards and it looks like I can't really tell because you're in front of it, but it looks like they're kind of a
It's
copy
got
of
it's got the GTS,
yeah,
basic seats. It's got
yeah.
964 RSA door panels, which was really common in the early
Hmm.
2000s.
Well, so let's
Someone put
pause. Let's
speakers.
pause here. So we're talking about resto rods, right? This is the thing. Like you don't have to spend $1 million. Look what Paul just found for less than 250. But
Hmm.
if you were spending, you guys just you got 250,000 as your budget, whatever. Which is still like when did that not become a lot of money? By the way, hello, right? I mean seriously, this is insane. Anyway, would you buy that over a newer car? Would you
Oh,
honestly?
oh,
What
all day
hmm.
long, all day long. Me, I'm not
When
the
you say
newest car
newer
I own
car
is
though, what do you mean? Like
Would
it?
you buy that? Paul, you can't contribute in this question. Would you buy that over, because I know what you're going to say, would you buy that over a GT4 RS?
What else do I have in my collection?
No, no, that or a GT4 RS. No, that's a good question too. But let's assume that you're just looking for a fun car
Man, that's a tough one
because
because
they're
those
basically
two
the
great
same money.
cars.
They're basically,
Yeah,
you can get a GT4 RS for like less than 200 grand now, like
I
185,
know.
190 grand.
Yep.
That is a badass car. So that or a GT4 RS.
Man, if that was the only car I could buy, and then I would buy the GT4 RS. I
Same.
would.
Paul, you're still
Go
not
ahead.
allowed to
And
participate.
if Casey was here, me and Casey would be on the same team. And I appreciate the new car. I was trying to, as you were asking this, I was trying to think of, okay, what new car would give me pause? Porsche, a 911R, but the problem is that's even my neighbor's
Bro,
got a
it's
20.
650
I
grand.
know. I know my neighbor's got getting ready to sell his 911R. It's the first one to the US. GT silver with all, the right seats and the single mass clutch. He bought it with under 1,000 miles. He's got 20,000 miles on it now. And even that car, which will be the highest mileage 911R, I'm guessing will probably be somewhere around five.
All right, so
And
let's go. Let's take a half step back and let's talk about so that car for 225. Let's just say a GT4 RS for 225. Let's say, and so if you present this to 100 people who are just trying to spend 225 grand on a fun sports car, and then the third car, oh yes, Paul, is a Corvette ZR1X or a
oh,
Corvette ZR1. Those are your three options, right? And you have to choose one. Here's what I'll suggest. If you ask a
goodbye.
hundred, I'm just doing it to torture you. You know that. If you ask that 100 people, if they have to choose between those three cars, and listeners and viewers, think of the same question yourself. It's your only sports car, your daily's all squared away, your kid hauler, your dog hauler. No, this is it. It's just for that one thing you're going to grab the keys for. What would you choose and why?
They're all going to
I would,
choose the GT4 RS.
yeah, I would. That would be me. I wouldn't take the Corvette, no way. This just because it's not that it's not a great car. Don't get me wrong. It's just that it's not a great car that I can see myself in. It might be a fabulous car. It's just doesn't appeal to me aesthetically, doesn't appeal to me culturally, doesn't appeal to me as an investment piece. The 4RS isn't probably going to do particularly well as an investment, honestly, because prices on those seem to be coming down pretty quickly right now, from what
Well,
I can see.
set aside the money thing though, because I agree with you.
Yeah, no, but
Who
I
knows?
think the 4RS is just a great car. I mean, it's a wonderfully balanced, great driving machine, very different size wise. It's not as big as the Corvette. Um, and the vintage car, if it's my only car, if it's my only sports car, I mean, I'd love to have the vintage car, of course, but if the rules here are only sports car, definitely 4RS.
And here's the thing is, I think if you asked 100 people that weren't so embroidered into the car world like we are, just average people, no one aspires to own a Corvette in the sense that
Dude,
the
you're so
Corvette.
wrong.
No, I
Obviously.
mean maybe a vintage
Okay,
Corvette, but I think
some
No,
percentage of our
they sell
audience is
I
like
billions
think
of
gone.
we're
them.
I think, and it's not just my hatred of the cars, and my fun hatred. I like there are some Max. He's a Corvette guy. I like Max, and I like his Corvettes. But the point is, if you ask 100 car people, would you rather have this old Porsche, the GT4 RS, or the new Corvette Super whatever? They're gonna choose one or two of the Porsches because that is an aspirational goal. Like you don't go like I worked my whole life to get a Corvette, like a Porsche. And by the way, if you added a Ferrari to the mix, the Ferrari would, no matter which Ferrari, would be the one that those 100 non-car people would talk to
I'm
because
not. I
Ferrari is
have
a halo car.
so the Porsche people oftentimes shit on Ferrari owners, but Ferrari owners do not shit on Porsche owners. You know this is true.
Oh, they're
That-
smart.
well, but it's
We,
true. I mean,
we didn't say they were dumb. They just had bad taste.
Ferrari people have no problems with Porsches ever. Yeah, I know most of my
Because they
Ferrari.
own them.
Exactly, they own them. Yeah, that's their daily.
Yeah,
They need something
that's their
reliable.
They can't
beater. Their
drive the
beater.
Ferrari.
Yeah, but Porsche people will treat it like they're part of a cult because they are, and they will say
Absolutely.
how every Porsche is the worst thing ever. And so you're just basically you're a head Kumba in the Porsche cult. That's the bottom line.
That's right. Just come in, grab your pair of Nikes, and drink the Kool-Aid.
I would bet though, Paul, if you looked at the entire country, right, of car people that are even remotely car people, that there are more people across America, and I'm not talking about on the coasts and all that. So I'm talking about in middle America who
Your liberal
lust after that
bastion,
Corvette.
the liberal bastions where you live and breathe, they're choosing
That
the Corvette. I agree with
there
Dave.
are plenty of Corvette people that's the car they've wanted their whole life. They want that
100%.
Corvette.
You just
Or is
haven't
it
ever
or is
met
it
it,
an F-150 or a dually?
bro. You just
Well, they
haven't
got
met
that
it.
already. They have that already.
Having
It's their
having spent a lot of time in Southern California, I can tell you that all those biases that he reflects are definitely real. They're tangible. But as soon as you go to Dave's point, anywhere else in the country, it isn't like that. Like it just isn't. People are honestly, they're more open-minded to different types of things automotively, and they're less biased, almost less snobby. That's been my own personal experience. Boy, I just slipped a whole bunch of insults in on Paul. You didn't catch any of them.
Yeah.
All right, Paul,
No,
you
he's
did.
good. He's
You had a cool. No, he'll get me back. Watch. All right,
yeah.
but what happened to your 914 GT tribute? That was kind of cool. You want
So
to do this
so
one?
so this was kind of another idea, and this is part of the people aging out. 914s are cool. I've owned them. They're great to drive. They're amazing cars, but it's sort of kind of like aging out. And some of the hot rods, I think there's some good buys here. So this was a
Definitely.
914 GT Tribute. It's like an RSR 911 version of a 914. It started life as a 73. It looks tangerine, which I think would have been cool. I think it's actually red and they colored it to make it look tangerine. I'm not a fan of the Corvette style triple round R. The taillights on the 914 look cool. These look like I don't know what they look
Yeah.
like.
They
They
look
look
like
like a
911R
308.
lights. They
They
look like
are, but the
911.
three of them is too much, and then a white one. They look like when you have your little kids Lego and you're putting like a Lego taillight on. It
Egg,
just
a
the little
peg in there.
little peg in there. But besides that, this car had a 3.2 liter EFI motor, and I mean, look underneath the car. I mean,
Beautiful.
it was beautiful. I mean, we're talking inside restraint, not crazy stupid seats, the original style seats. It's just a good looking car. I love, do you guys know why the bumper is painted like that? The front view has a bumper that's half Gulf blue and half black.
I had no idea. I thought that was like lighting or something. I didn't realize on that.
No,
What's
no,
the story?
do you know what that is, Tim?
I'm going to keep my ignorance to myself.
And they should have done the back. So the idea was back when these were racing in Le Mans and GT 914 GTs won, not only raced but won with Hurley Haywood. They looked the same, and so they would have different bumpers to cue which car was out there on the track where they were. Usually, that you would do the rear, like on a 911, the rear license plate panel would be all one color. You see this back to like the 73 RSRs that were silver martini, but they had the green or the orange, almost neon orange bumpers. So it's a bit of a homage to that, which is nerdy. Now, this car hammered, no reserve not met on Bring a Trailer for 40 grand, which is a bargain. It's on the dealer's website for 90. My gut feeling says if they get an offer of 60 grand, they should take it and run. And that is a badass car. That I mean, imagine that in Tail of the Dragon in the
I would
Oh,
application.
keep
fantastic.
100%. That are they glass flares or steel flares?
Uh, I think they're glass flares, but that's how the factory did it.
Mm.
The GT body kits were fiberglass. Like Jeff
I mean, I
Swartz's
think that
yellow
just
car that he's owned new, he bought that car was converted by I think Vasek Polak new because that was such a popular option that Porsche couldn't make a bunch of it was like an M479 or whatever. It was an option package. So Porsche just said to the dealers, here you go. Here's all the parts. You build the car. And like that's what Jeff Swartz is.
I just think that flaring of those fenders on a 914 just changes the total personality of that car in such a positive way. And then you put the six in that thing. And that I
Mhm.
picked one too, Paul. I mean, this was one of my two, and I don't want to skip ahead of you, but this is a car that I know of. Car was built here in the area. Um, and same basic thing. This one's a 75, I think. Yeah, it's a 75 with the same kind of motor. I don't have as many pictures as you do, but more purpose built for racing. This thing was loud as get out. You could not really drive this car on the street very well because I think whoever the builder here intended this to be a race. But this car sold, same kind of scenario though. It sold, it was a no reserve car, and I think it got 65 grand. So that's
Yep.
probably the right number for the orange one you got there behind you
Mhm.
too. But I just think these are cool as heck. And we've had a couple here that we've done interior work on, and I definitely want to have one of these in my collection at some point for sure.
And I think the orange one with or red or whatever color it is, I think red is what's holding it back. Because and this is what drives me crazy is you can photo edit. This looked every picture I found of it on the Bring a Trailer ad looked orange. And you and if you look in the door jamb, you could see it's a weird different shade in that picture. And that's when I started digging in. I'm like, oh, it's a red car, which is I think a shame. But what I like about this one is it's restrained. You got a badass motor, EFI. It's going to make great power. It's going to have a wide power range band, but the interior looks usable. It's not because that's the only like Dave, that's the problem with 914s, especially older builds, is they just want to go full race car.
Yeah.
And no one's tracking these cars anymore. They're
No,
canyon driving them. So
no,
yeah.
and they're great.
Ooh, I like Tim's car. There you
Yeah,
go, Tim.
Yeah.
sorry. Have you guys ever seen one of these at any of the, car events, the cam thing? I think I forget what country it's made in. KAMM. What
Oh,
so I saw one of these when we were at Moda Miami in
hmm.
spring of this year. And it was really badass. And like the Tuttle, the whole car was carbon fiber. I don't know if
Wow.
any of I'm sure maybe the top was, steel, but the whole thing was CF, including the wheels. Every damn thing on it was. And it was really well done. A couple arts and craftsy things on it that nothing would dissuade me if I was interested in buying one of those. But that car, and there was right now globally, because I went down this rabbit hole for the sake of basically saving face with all the 912 owners who have come to hate us because of Paul. But they're probably uh, three or four, maybe five companies around the world that are making these really exceptional 912s. And they're what? The 460 was the highest price I found. A lot of them were less than 300,000, 250,000, which I don't know. They must have cheaper labor rates than we have in the United States. I'm sure they do, but really special looking cars and a lot of fun. So as far as like what you can get away with, I think that's kind of exceptional. I did write a lot of, put a lot of content on our newsletter about these types of cars if you guys are interested in it. Were you about to say, Paul?
Well, let's say first of all, UK delivered, but even the 912 guys will agree with me. And Dave will too. They're using 75, 76 912Es, which have to be
Cheapest car.
truly the redheaded stepchild
Yeah,
of
totally.
the 911 silhouette body forever. They're great donor cars to go build this. The only downside is you can't register them easily. You can't register them at all in California. But I think they're bitching, and they're what half price of a Tuttle, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean,
that one looks like a short wheelbase car though, so
yeah.
that's probably a legit 912.
And this is
And
too
then
bad Casey's not here
what's the
because
motor in it, Tim? What are they doing? Is it still a four-cylinder
Yeah,
motor in
they're
it?
still four cylinders, and I thought that was
Wow.
interesting too. But they, talk the usual thing you hear from 912 owners: less weight, faster. Engine's more central, so it's more of a mid-engine. All the usual things that they say, which are all true to some extent.
Hmm.
That's Paul's hill to die on, not mine. But I
yeah.
mean,
But
I thought that
here's
looked just amazing.
the one I agree. The one plus point about it is they claim it weighs 1,675 pounds.
Think about that. If that's accurate,
If
that's
that's, I mean,
insane.
that seems skinny, skinny, skinny. But I was trying to look on the website to see what. So they mechanical upgrades include capacity to 2 liters from the original 1.6 liter, fuel injection, individual throttle bodies. They say it's making 182 horsepower, which I do believe. But if it is really a sub 1,700 pound car, that's going to be badass.
Yeah, it's pretty
I
scooty.
think my guess is if they want to stay in business, they're going to offer a 6 cylinder option. Why not? It's so easy to put a six in
Well,
there.
what's the cost difference between it's money, right? What's the cost difference between building a six versus building it's huge. 3x.
Well, but you're talking about a $500,000 car, and let's say the engine they're putting in there, this bespoke engine, if you went out to build it, let's say it cost 35, 40 grand. I think a Benton built hot rod twin plug kind of motor is about 40 grand. And maybe a similar 2.7 MFI motor, that's what I would love to see in
Well,
it.
a 70S motor would be the best one, higher compression, revs
A two
faster.
two,
But
yeah, yeah.
but the thing with these four cylinders, and like you guys know what the displacement of a modern Formula One car is? Where's Casey when I need him? Do you guys know what the engine
Yeah, I don't,
displacement
but
is?
it's
It's under
tiny.
3 liter, isn't it?
It's a
Yeah,
1.6.
Oh
yeah.
God.
Okay, a six cylinder, right? So yeah, tiny. So the point of it is that if you have a small four cylinder that's revs super fast, doesn't weigh anything, I think from a user's experience, it's not a six cylinder, but it's going to actually be more fun, in my opinion.
I think so too, but I just look at the guy who's going to spend a 500,000. They are when they open that, they're going to have to go. Yeah, yeah, I know it's a 4 cylinder, but it makes this and like they're going to have to. And
Yeah.
that buyer who's spending that money, I don't care. I have my ego is fine. Just say I have a four cylinder, and I do like the ethos of it. I just think that down the road, if they're going to stay in business, they're going to have clients saying, "Hey, I love what you're doing. I'll spend the extra 25 grand, which is not a big deal on a $500,000 car, to have a six cylinder engine, a 3.2 short stroke." Sadly, someone's going to stupidly say, "I want a 3.6 in there," which is the worst choice, but. And if we have time, I do want to talk about this Mercedes because this is the other part of the Kirkland plain wrap label. How do I get a Restomod without spending a lot of money? If you remember a few shows ago, I drove a $750,000 AMG Hammer. It was badass. That car is a collector car. It is a halo car. And you're sitting there like me going, I love that car. There's no way I would buy that. But I would buy it over the Testarossa, by the way, if given a choice. But so this car was crazy. It was on Bring a Trailer. It is a 1990 Mercedes 300E and I think this was the original color it came in. It was a dark blue with a Palomino interior. What I liked about it is it looked like an AMG car, understated AMG monoblock wheels. It's got the AMG front spoiler. I didn't have a picture, but it has the AMG ducktail. Here's the kicker. They put a Toyota 2JZR. I don't know the Toyota. It's a Toyota Supra motor, which we know is robust and could easily do 1,000 horsepower. It's detuned to 400 horsepower. And if you can see it in there, they put a six-speed manual from a Nissan. And it sounds like the worst Frankenstein, but I watched the driving video. It sounds so much like the car I just drove, the real AMG Hammer, but it's got all the turbo whoosh noises. But then he goes and cruises, put the window up, and it's like a chill 300E, a little bit of a sleeper. It's sold on Bring a Trailer for 31,000.
That's a
That's a
hell of a good
bargain.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's a great way to spend 31 grand.
Yeah,
How cool would that
that's a great
be
looking car.
as a sleeper? And it's for, and like the
Totally.
guy talked about it. I mean, if you want 600 horsepower, not hard to do.
Mm-mm.
But 400 horsepower, I would daily the F out of that thing. That would be my daily
What do you
for
think the
sure.
dealer was that a consignment deal? Because this is a dealer, right? He's down near
Yeah,
you,
it
it looks
was,
like.
it's the guy in LA who does PPF stuff. I know he's done them for Matt Farah, 405 Motoring, I think. Or they're a club. They're like a maybe a car club. I guess they're maybe getting into the consignment business, but I looked at that car.
Consignment though. Okay.
If I hadn't seen that, so Tim, when you're talking about, ooh, I don't know if I can find budget cars,
It was
every day
hard.
it's not that hard. But there's a frugal part of me that just looks in the bottom basement bin. I'm the guy going through the VHS tapes from the 90s, going like, ooh, $1 for Die Hard, great. So I'm I just
The
am
Christmas
drawn
movie,
to
by the
that.
way.
So yeah, so I am looking through every day I get an email from Bring a Trailer shows what sold. And I intentionally don't look at the one of what's about to sell because I just don't need to be drawn into another car. Because if this car I saw before it sold, ooh, that would have been, and it's literally a 30-minute drive down the street. I would have looked at it. But anyway, I go look at these cars, and every day, Tim, every day out of 100 auctions, I would say I easily find a couple cars that sold cheap. I mean, just to give you an example, for today, right before we got on the podcast, there was, I don't know if you saw, it was a 944 Turbo, an 86 or 7 944 Turbo in like that brown nougat metallic with a cool interior. It had like 70,000 miles. It did not look like a bad car. It sold for 13 grand. And I'm
Holy
sitting there
cow.
going, and I'm going like, you want to go on a rally? You want to go do these vintage driving events? There you go. And I looked for what was the Achilles heel? What was wrong? Was it a blown motor? Was it a salvage title? I could not find anything really damaging wrong about it. So, Tim, to your point, I think on the converse, when you say, hey, we need to go pick a $1.5 million car, I'm struggling. I'm like, there's nothing I like in 1.5 million. Like I can't. So I think we're
Well,
just aligned
but Paul,
differently.
to be fair, that car right there, because you were essentially, striking them as bargains, and we didn't really overly define what you meant by that, but bargains as in you get to enjoy it, it's going to be fun. But you guys are dealers, and so bargains to you would be things probably that you could make some money on. You were not making any money on that car. That car's fully
No.
priced at 31 grand.
So you got it wrong. The cars that I own, most of them came on consignment. And I kept not because they were bargains. I paid retail. I kept because I liked the way they drive and I knew how they'd fit my
Right.
lifestyle.
I'm addressing your question. I mean, your original question was to find bargains. That's the reason I
Right.
struggled with it, truthfully, because most everything in the marketplace seems fully priced, unless I suppose you're right. You go to the low end.
But this is the bargain. Like, ooh, I really want an AMG Hammer. After driving that one, I really want an AMG Hammer. Even if you find ones that were actually converted by AMG, the lowest price kind of AMG true pre-merger car, you're really at six figures. There's nothing really under six figures. I look at that going, I can get an AMG kind of experience in terms of looks and power on a budget. Is it going to be worth more in a year? No. 5 years? No. That car will only be worth its current condition, and
That's
it
right.
probably won't be worth more.
Well,
But I
let me,
look at it as a budget experience.
so where my mind went with this, and you guys saw this, I sent it to you. And if you're just listening, it's maybe one of you guys can pull up the details from Bring a Trailer. This motor hasn't closed yet, but this is a motor that wasn't it built by Ondile?
It was built by Andile, and it's a the one
Did you see this,
downside was they
Dave?
built it on a 69T, a
Well,
2 liter.
okay, but
Yeah,
hold
go
on.
ahead.
So Dave has got, here's my mind. Like I was trying to think, how can Full Throttle Talk build their own bargain hot rod 911? So this is what I came up with, right? Now follow me on this. I
Mhm.
happen to know Dave has got a really well restored 69 chassis, right? And is it still there you go. Okay. So why
Oh
don't we
yeah, it's
take
ready to go.
there you
If
go.
anybody's looking for one.
Okay, why don't we take Dave's chassis and we do a Full Throttle Talk project car? We buy that motor from, and I don't, where's that thing? I think the last time I looked, it was still less than 20 grand.
It's still at 18,000.
Oh my
Ends in a
gosh. I
day.
mean, so what to build that motor, guys? What would that cost to build that motor right now?
50 grand.
Easy.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So if you can get that motor for 25 grand, I don't know what Dave's chassis is going to cost, and then put the rest of it together. How much money are you going to have in this thing? I mean, say the motor's 25 grand, you get a 915 or a 901 transmission for it. Let's call that 7 grand, re-geared. I don't know. You're going to make it nice. You're going to put a basic interior on it, paint and body, the whole
Never.
thing. I think you can get out for 80 grand. What do you think?
Ooh. Well, the chassis I've got's not painted, so that's going to cost some money.
We'll leave it primer
But leave it the way, Tim's right. Leave it the way it is. That sleeper patina
with that
rally
motor.
No, it's not
with that
patina. This
motor.
this this thing has
Absolutely.
been. This was a just a rusty car. I had
Uh,
this complete car, so I'll just give you the story. But that's ultimately full. We made this car perfect. The chassis is just fantastic now. The motor's already been built on the car,
Well,
right? I
just
got
the chassis. What's the chassis worth?
okay. Well, I mean, oh God, that's a great question. I bet you just the chassis is probably 25 grand.
Okay, you
for
Maybe
a
guys are making my
just the
point.
chassis.
straight chassis, a dry
Yeah.
straight
Yeah.
chassis. Yeah.
Okay, and so let's put the math together for the home players, right? So let's say that motor's 25 grand, and that motor by itself is just, I mean, dude, what the hell, right? It's so badass.
I
All
mean,
right,
I have a couple qualms with it, but I think 25 grand is what it will sell for.
I agree. So 25 grand there, 25 grand with Dave. Dave, what's going to cost to put some, decent paint on that car? Nothing, we're not taking it to, Concord.
25 grand.
10
No,
grand, something
no,
like
well,
that. 10 grand.
Well, no, is he fixing? Okay, so
it's
10 grand,
fixed,
assuming there's no
Paul.
rust. Okay, yeah.
It's done.
It's got to be shot, but if you're putting good quality paint, the paint alone, the cost on the paint's $2,500 just for a
Right.
couple of gallons of the paint and stuff,
So
plus the
it's
prep, plus
right.
you're going to be into any decent paint job, just even a straight paint job is $10,000 these days.
Right, which is, by the way, cheap if you compare it to where Paul lives. So, just for the record, that's
Sure.
less than half
It
the
would be
price.
about 15 grand here in Orange
Easy.
County
All right.
for
So,
the same
so
thing.
to help me put this together, I'm just again for the home players. So we're looking at 25 for a chassis, hypothetically, that's done. We're looking at, I'm sure, lights and doodads and the labor to put it back together,
Interior and
interior, wheels, tires,
suspension and
suspension. It's going to
yeah.
be a James Bond gentleman hot rod, not some crazy ass thing where you're going to hate life after driving it once. What do you think? I think I still am sticking with my premise that you could get this done for 80 grand. You got to
I think you're right.
you got to hunt for some of your parts. You're going to have to do some swapping, some horse trading for the wheels. You're going to
Depends on
put some
how
stuff.
nice you want it.
Well,
If
you're
it's just truly just a throw it together car, Tim, you're
No.
probably well. What I mean by that is not every part restored to
Oh yeah.
no.
perfection.
Right.
The suspension and the trailing arms and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to repowder coat them, or you're not going
No.
to do those things.
No.
You're putting this car back together so it looks great on the outside. Interior's decent. under the car may not be beautiful, but a sweetheart motor, yeah, I would probably push a little higher because I just know how long it takes to put it
Right.
together, the actual assembly part. But I'd probably go up around 100. Would be
Yeah,
where I'd
I
start.
would say 80 to 100 depending on, like, for instance, you don't have to get well, first of all, I would leave it, especially if it's a short wheelbase, which would be ideal. I'd leave it a slab side so you don't have flares. So
Yep.
then you go and buy like Campanola or Maxi Light Deep Six reproductions
No,
for
dude,
under
seven
two
R's in
grand.
the back of that thing for sure.
But yeah, you can buy reproductions for
Right.
2 grand for a set of four. You put CN36s on it. You put reproduction seats, like decent ones. You're going to spend about
Mm.
2,500 to 3 grand upholstered for the pair. You just put lightweight carpet.
Paul and I've
That
done this
stuff's
before.
cheap.
So have you.
Oh yeah, like headlights, you just put like the aftermarket H4s, you buy reproduction lenses.
Mhm.
It's going to be a car that you're going to drive like us to Hill Country Rally and beat the crap out of, and you want
Mhm.
reliable. That motor is sexy and badass looking. My only problem with that motor, Tim, is they built it on arguably the worst magnesium case, the first gen magnesium case, the most porous. And if you look at it, it's got 20 hours on the motor, but it was done in
The
2011
race motor. It was race too.
and it was raced. But here's funny. Did you watch the video of the race?
I
The guy
did.
racing it?
It sounded amazing.
He was so slow. That was the only plus. I'm watching him get passed by freaking everyone and he's short shifting. And I know a couple people comment and like, oh, he's kind of like not really into it. And then me as a buyer of the motor, I'm like, no, 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 no. Save the motor.
That's what you want.
Drive, 1500 RPM below the
Okay,
red
so we
line.
build this thing, Full Throttle Talk. We build it. Dave's shop's going to build it. So what's this bad boy worth if we put it back for sale? First Full Throttle Talk, homegrown car.
How
We're
many stickers are on it?
well, I mean, you guys will have to come up with a creative
Well,
for
I
that.
think I think in the end, just based on what I've seen in the market, if we break even, great. We might make 10, 15% on our money, which won't really cover the time and energy. It'll be a fun
But you
project.
really only think that's like $100,000 to $120,000 car done? Well,
Yep.
screw that. That was a terrible idea. Let's move on.
Yep. But I like it. But here's the thing is you think even Dave and I as dealers in this business, that's our motivation. Dave, he mentioned with the M491, I look at it going like, that would be a fun project to build. We would go rip and do like 2 or 3 rallies. It would be a year calling card for us for a year. And then we go sell it and we break even. And boy, we had
Yeah,
fun. And which is, by the
yeah.
way, the premise of why I got in this business. It wasn't to make money. It was just like, how do I get to drive as many cool things as possible and still have my wallet intact at the end of the day? It just happened to become a for-profit entity. Go
Thank
figure.
goodness for that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be on this podcast if that didn't happen, Paul. I mean, come on.
So is that brown car still available, Dave? That was the McGuire show car?
It is. It
Okay.
is. I had somebody fly up and look at it yesterday. They made me an offer on it, but the buyer's not ready to move on that
The
money.
seller, you
But
mean? The seller, you mean?
that's what I mean. Excuse me. Yes, that's what
Yeah.
I meant.
So
Seller.
that's still around a $200,000
Yep.
car.
I think it could be bought for less than that. We'll go with that. This car right here.
Yeah. Okay. That in IRL, that car was really, really badass. Everyone loved that car. So if you were in the mood in the market for something that's special that you will not see in anything else like it, I would give that one a hard look.
I love that car. I do dig
Me
that
too.
car.
I love the color too. It looks
Yep.
so freaking good in that setting in that big ass warehouse at Lufticol. It was awesome. All right.
Yeah,
So are you
it
guys,
was.
am I skipping anything? Or are we ready to go on to the next
Nope.
segment?
The
All right.
last
We kind of
segment.
were
All
we were
right.
dapping in the last segment here a little bit on this last
I
thing because
know,
this
I
is
know,
your
I know, I know. Well, we did
we're all
start
over the
talking.
place. It's all
We
good.
started out talking about speedsters today, so this would be a great way to round the bend on today's show. All right, this or that with a twist. Sold cars that we found that were actually maybe underpriced. And I'm going to go first because I think that you guys might enjoy tearing me to shreds on this. All right, I know Paul will. All right, so
I
I
always do,
Always.
Tim.
it's fun. It makes it fun banter. It's great to prove you wrong anyway. All right, so this is where is it? Come on, car or whatever you're doing. Why are you taking so long? There we go. All right, so this was a speedster. It was a 964 speedster. It was a narrow body, all the boxes checked. And I don't know if you guys looked at the pictures on Cars and Bids. Did you guys look at the car?
No,
All
no, I
right,
didn't.
let's just say presented horribly, just to kind of underline it. And there's so many little things you could have done to make this car look so much better. And when you guys get to the pictures, you'll see what I'm talking about. They didn't even vacuum out the damn car. It's just atrocious.
But just a note, do not photograph your car in the grass. That's so ghetto. It's so it's 80s. Do not photograph your car in a grass field,
Yeah,
please.
but look, someone drilled the front bumper. I mean, all the things you're not supposed to do. But in the car's defense, it did have recent. First of all, it's a speedster. Second of all, it's a driver quality speedster, which is kind of the whole point of the damn things. This car sold for 125 grand, and I did some searching on, various sites, and the average for these things is 180. And I found many comps for that car for 175, 185, with obviously it being cleaned up and the pictures being
How many
better.
miles?
25,000, I think.
45.
Yeah,
45. Yep.
45.
That's
I got
which
it
is
open right here.
considered, I would say, medium high.
Right. Well, okay. But again, if you go to classic.com, and I included the link in home players, we're going to include the links, all of our links on the in the show notes and the articles. But yeah, if you go and look at the comps, most of the comps are still 40 to 60 grand over what that thing sold for. And by
Yeah.
looking at the pictures, I think that car sold under value. And if you put 10 grand in it on the high end, let's assume the wheel, just shit you can't see. There's money in that car for sure. So I think that personally, that car actually sold underpriced. Comment?
Hmm. Totally agree.
Yeah, I think did it sell underpriced by what you think is 175, 180 is the benchmark, so 50, 60 grand underpriced? No, I would say maybe 10 or 15% because I think the miles it's weird when you get to these speedsters, you play by a different game of miles. It's almost like the Ferrari game of the odometer. And I literally have clients that will call looking for special cars, and they flat out will not consider an odometer on a car like that with over 20,000, let alone 40,000. And I'm just looking at the thing. Yeah, here's a 70. The hard part is there's a lot. Yeah, 4,000 mile one listed for 270. But then a 35,000, oh, no, that's a different, that's Europe. Man, why most of them are in Europe.
Hmm.
9,000 mile one listed for 190, black. That one's a totally different buyer, different segment. Now, I like yours because that's the car that's sort of liberating and you can go drive and
Exactly.
Yep.
That's what I liked about it too. And
yeah,
you could drive that car, you put some money, you could do nothing to it, and I think you'd be sound on that one. And it does have some recent major service on it. 125 grand, still a lot of money, but in the scheme of things, I think that's a free car basically. You could drive it for free,
I
or you could
agree.
fix it up and you could make some money on it. Now I'll go through my next one relatively quick. This, I thought, again, this was on Ryan Friedman Motor Cars. This is a 1997 Porsche 911 roof turbo RC2. I did not have a chance to really thoroughly vet whether this was built by Roof or whether it was a customer
It,
car built by Roof, but so it was a customer car.
I looked at it. It was not one of the original body and white where Roof had a bunch of leftover ones of these that they went within the last 10 years and built into the Turbo Rs. And those are actually $2 million cars. This is someone who took their 993 Turbo. The only thing I could read from the ad that was actually Roof is Roof built the motor. They redid the motor to their 600 horsepower Roof spec motor. The rest of and I think the Roof wheels are original. I think the badging and even the gauges, the seats were not Roof seats. I think it was
No,
sort of a going to your point. This is a budget. You want, the car that this is supposed to be is a $2 million car. But if you want basically the same experience on a budget, this
Well,
is what you get.
so I was looking at this, and I think the color is stunning. It's one of my favorite Porsche colors.
Yep.
The car is gorgeous, and you're guessing at some of the things you said with regards to the roof thing. You're probably right, but the if you compare that car, Ryan's asking $500,000 for, and if you compare that to a Singer, okay, now just if you're just looking at right, what would you rather have? And when I see
mm,
that green car, I'm thinking that that car, it's not cheap, certainly, but it's also seems to me in the scheme of what people are paying for freaking Porsches nowadays, it
Yep.
actually might be a bit of a bargain.
Here's my challenge with it. If I like the car, it is the original color, that forest green, which is a was a I think it was a color that Porsche really picked as a family for that nine. It came out with the 993. It's a really cool color. I would take the roof badge off. I like the look of it. I like everything about it. And instead of marketing it as this is the problem. it's like marketing a replica Spider as a 550 Spider and leaving out the replica part of it. It is a 993 turbo that has a modified
Well,
engine.
I don't think you're honestly, you've said this before, and I disagree with you. If the car, even if it wasn't originally a body in white, pulled off the assembly line at Porsche and given a roof, then if Roof built the car, if Roof had their hands on the
Right.
car, whether it's German Roof or whether it's Roof in the United States, and then they say it's a roof and they give it a roof number, granted it doesn't have a roof VIN number, I don't see how that's any less of a roof than if it
But
was basically built as a baby at Porsche.
no, no, no. I agree with you, but I don't think that's what happened with this car. I
I
don't
don't
think
either.
they, I don't think they gave it to Roof and said, "Go build me this." I think what they did was they got the roof wheels, they built this, they then gave the motor, and I think the only thing actually done at Roof was just the motor.
So it's like
So
it's like that roof bug from last week. That roof
Well,
silver
I'm
Volkswagen.
reading the description here, guys, and what it's saying is that the is accompanied by a roof certification denoting its roof CTR2 conversion. So it's almost like a third party might have built it with roof parts. Wasn't built by Roof, but somebody else built
yeah.
it.
Okay. And I like, don't get me wrong, Tim. I think I'm not a huge 993 fan, but I love 993 turbos and I do like that car a lot. My problem is I think the ad is a little clickbaity, misleading on what it is, and I understand why they're doing it, but I can see where a client of mine buys this 5 years down the road, they truly in their mind believe that they got this roof thing because they're maybe a little naive, and then I get to be the person who calls their baby
Which
ugly
you've had to do before. I know you've had to do that
many
before.
times, and I
Yeah.
hate that. I'm like, this isn't, you know, your old 67S was a 60, the slate gray car.
Yeah.
Like that person who bought it at auction, you knew it was advertised. The way it was presented at auction, the auction house didn't really disclose clearly it was not numbers matching, which we know is huge in the 67S world. And then I get the client, they give it to me to sell. And I'm like, hey, this. And she's mad at me. And I'm like, I had nothing to do with it. I'm just, don't kill the messenger. So this is the part of I love the car. I don't like how it's presented in terms of the wording. It's misleading.
I don't
That's
disagree with you
It's
at
not
all.
inaccurate, but it is not
Accurate.
accurate.
It's
Right.
not inaccurate, but it's not honest.
inaccurate.
It's like
Exactly.
a politician wrote it, is what you're saying.
But that is a
Dave,
good choice, Tim. Very good choice.
Dave,
I
what
do
do you
like.
got?
Yes. I have under the bargain category, this kind of almost speaks to what we were talking about just a couple seconds ago. Now, this car is actually a 74 backdate RS kind of replica car, but I was shocked at the price on this car. I mean, this is one of the it's kind of built as a little bit of a budget. You can tell it wasn't built like a super duper hot rod. It's a 74 that's got a 3 liter motor. It looks to be just a stock 3 liter that was put in the car, came out of a Targa, I guess, but that's a nice pairing with this particular car. Nothing crazy. This car only sold for $84,000, and you sure can't build it for that. I mean, I like the color. It's a sweet car. I can kind of tell why it didn't go, meaning just the way it's sort of presented. But it's got what it looks to me to be. I can't tell if they're copies, but the one picture that I did have here, those look to be potentially original
They're not.
Recaro. I don't
They're
I don't
not.
They're
think
not.
those are
Those
They're
seem to be
copies.
like,
reproduction.
yeah.
Are they? I
Yeah.
couldn't tell by looking at the
You have to
the
assume they are based on what it's sold for, because even if those were like, let's say early 70s sports seat, no, those wouldn't be early
yeah,
70s sports seats because there's no headrest. Those seats would be 15, 20 grand.
Yeah.
they would be, but sometimes you never know. People, I think, when it comes to buying cars, they don't think about the seats. They don't think about what's inside the car. They just assume, oh, it's got seats. Okay, great. And they don't realize the difference between sports seats and vintage sports seats and what the original ones are. I couldn't tell. Definitely, they could be a set from GTS Classics or one of the other
And his stuff
repop
is great.
guys.
His seats
Yeah,
are
yeah,
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah. But cool motor. But I thought this was a bargain. I think the 15-inch wheels hurt this car a little bit.
The yellow
And just
freaking wires. Come on now. I
the,
mean,
the
Yeah.
stance, the stance just doesn't get
bro.
it to me, for
The
me.
968 turbo or 968 Club Sport steering wheel wasn't great. Yeah, it's funny, Dave, you picked this because I almost came this close to picking it. And they used a 3 liter with the carburetor. I think there's so many little tiny things that add up to a big
S-
thing, which,
s- but Dave, you thought that was a bargain, right? So you thought
Yeah,
that
I
was
mean, I think I know what it costs to build this. I mean, what it would
right.
cost to, whether or not that's just a stock 3 liter motor or not, that's still going to be, $25,000 to rebuild that motor to get it into that appearance as well. I mean, it wasn't just thrown back together. They spent some time to make this car look nice too. I think it was well built, and I think it was a bargain. I would have thought this car would be, if you put 16s on it, change the stance a little bit, maybe get rid of the yellow plug wires and some of the other hokey stuff. Yeah, I think this would have been over $100,000 car.
Another free car.
120, 125.
Yeah, because the stuff you just rattled off is nickel and dimes in the scheme of things to get right.
Yeah,
So, okay, I
absolutely.
agree with you. That looks like a really good 100%. And that color
yep,
is freaking awesome.
yep,
It's
It
I
is.
agree.
Viper green. Is that?
Viper, emerald green, same
Yeah,
color.
Yeah,
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
And you had another one too, which I really,
I did. This
it's
this
funny. We
one,
all chose the
this
same
one was,
ones.
you know, come on, man.
Oh, I
It says
agree.
GTS. A 94 GTS 928 for those of you who aren't looking on the screen here, but it's this car had, I want to say, 54,000 miles on it. Hang on, I'm trying to find it here in my listing. There we go. Um, Midnight blue metallic, which I was a 993
Beautiful.
color primarily, but I just think it looks unbelievably cool on this 928. It's a cool color.
68,000 miles. 68,000
Is that what it
miles.
was? 68?
Yep.
Okay. But it'll and it was a Canadian car, so I know that's probably what held it back. But this car was on PCar Market,
And an
and it's
automatic.
so, yeah, it's true. Like you and I have discussed many times, Paul. There's times when you just want to get in one and go, right? I mean, mine's an automatic as well, my 89. And I think that's just cool. I don't honestly think that the manuals on these cars, and I've only driven early manuals, not late manuals, but I don't think the manuals on these cars are particularly fun to drive personally.
I agree.
Isn't that it? I'm trying to remember. Wasn't the manual in the 928? Didn't it have something to do with the Mercedes manual too?
It
Like,
No,
was, yeah, three. Well, the
the
automatic is.
automatic is
Automatic is.
the 4-speed
okay.
automatic is a Mercedes automatic, but the manual in these are dog leg. They're a get
Yep.
track dog leg, and they have to be the longest throws. I mean, it's like Volkswagen bus. And Dave and I've talked about this. Everyone loses their shit over the fact that they're a manual. And if you want a manual Porsche experience, I'm sorry, the
It
928
That's
is
it
not
is.
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
But a GTS 928 for 45 grand. You guys
That's a
remember this?
bargain.
You guys remember when those
it
cars
is.
were new?
Yeah.
The
I
only
mean, this.
thing I saw holding that car back, and the pictures were great, I would say the platform PCar market may not have been quite right. And I also think that was Canadian car also. That was
Yeah, it
Canadian
Was
was.
it in
That
the
car.
was part of
US
the
though?
reason it was held back.
Dave, was it
It
in
was
the
a
US?
U.S. spec, but you had to get the car into the country.
Ah, but you won't have to pay tax. You won't have to pay a tariff on it again because it was US originally.
Right. And
Correct.
I would say the biggest thing is I think there was these motors can be very expensive to maintain. And I think there was a question about the timing belt. And here's the funny thing is timing belts in these cars can go really a long time. We're
Oh,
talking
they can.
10.
Is it a rubber belt?
Yep.
It's a rubber belt.
That's
Long,
And
longest belt ever made on I think on a production car as a
so
belt.
part of the reason I have an 84 928 is it's one of the few years that's a non-interference motor. So if the belt breaks, because I'm an idiot, I don't lose the engine. I'm
Yep.
stranded, granted, but like go do it. But the problem is like people for these auctions will go, oh, I did the timing belt and the water pump, and that's it. But the real thing to do is you've got to actually put in
Pensioners.
the
Cam tensioners
tensioners
or the
and do
belt
that whole job.
tensioners.
And then the other thing people forget, and I just did this with my 944, is every 4 years you have to actually go and check the tightening of the tensioners, which
Yep.
I do because I don't want to be stranded on a rally.
944's got an interference cylinder head, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I
Mhm.
thought. I think
Yep.
which Porsches, which transactional cars did not have an interference cylinder head? Just that.
Just the 928S's, the
Right.
80.
Earlys.
And so for the home players
Didn't
that
the
don't know
early
it,
cars too, Paul? Weren't the original 928s, 78, 79? I thought those were not
Maybe.
interference as well.
so interference cylinder head is when the belt breaks and basically the pistons in the head have this untimely relationship. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
It
with the
basically
valves.
ruined the motor. Hopefully not the entire motor, depending on how fast it was spinning at the time when the belt broke, but not a good scene.
So
Yeah,
that car was a good buy.
I thought so.
I looked at that going, man, I'm so deep into my car and I would love that. But the problem is my little word of advice, you buy an old Porsche, like a 911, you budget 10 to 15% of the purchase price of a good car, a quote unquote done car. You budget that for the first year. And that's just maintenance and normal stuff. You buy a 928, you bump that up to 50 to 100% of the purchase price in the first couple of years.
Absolutely. And
But
people
once you
do
do,
not get that.
they
They
don't.
don't get it.
But once you're done,
It's the
you get
same
a
on a
great
cheap
car.
944 though, too, right? I mean, a
Yep.
cheap 944 will be the most expensive Porsche you ever buy. I had a guy who was pinging me who was off of pictures asking me, "Oh, this is only $12,000 for this 944. It looks really nice." And I'm looking at the pictures going, "Oh my God, this don't buy it. If you
I
haven't
mean,
laid eyes on it, do not buy this car."
here is real math with my I have an 88 944 Turbo S. I bought it 5 years ago with 119,000 miles from a good friend who wanted me to consign it. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to buy it. And he bought it in 2015 on Bring a Trailer for 15 grand. He ended up spending 15 grand, which is why I bought it from him, doing all the stuff you got to do to a transaxle car. You know, the drive shaft and the major service, you name it. Some of it was
Yep.
just making it look pretty. I buy it with 119,000 miles 5 years ago for 21 grand. And actually it was supposed to be 25 grand, but his neighbor when he was taking photos backed up into the corner and he just didn't want to deal with it. So he knocked 4 grand off. It cost me 900 bucks to fix. So then I have now put 20,000 miles on it, driving in snow and rallies and all over the place. And I have put in, guess how much?
The exact
15 grand. So it, I would say a 944 purchase for sure. You're budget 100% of the purchase
But
price.
you're not getting the money back. If you did that on an
No,
old, if you did
No,
that
of
on
course
an
not.
air-cooled Porsche, you have a chance of getting your money back,
Yep.
actually.
right.
That's a
Yep.
that's a huge difference. Something for everyone to consider if
Yeah.
you're wanting to go down this road.
But if I went
And
to
the
sell that car
928's
today,
even worse.
it would
The nine,
sell
the
for
ni-
what I paid. It would sell for what I paid for it,
yeah,
probably around 20 grand.
yeah.
And my 15 grand or 18 grand is my cost of fun. You know, it's my tax to go have fun. And look, I put 20,000 miles on
All
it.
right. Speaking of fun, I did find this. I'll just do this really quick. I know, Paul, you've got some cool cars to present. I don't know if you guys saw that. Now
Did.
I'm gonna go back to my premise that we need to do a full throttle talk, Restomod challenge, build off, whatever the hell it is. All right. So that car, I I just pains me to say this, was electrified. It was a
I know.
912, it was a 912 that was electrified, but okay, now we're dealing with paint and body done, interior done. I don't know what you're gonna have to do to basically put an ICE engine back into it, let alone a transmission, let alone all the other
Ton.
ton. Yeah.
Electric wiring,
Okay.
wiring.
Oh, well, that sold for 60 grand. So maybe you guys are proving out my math wouldn't make sense on that one either.
I mean,
Because
it depends how much the Tesla motor's worth. I mean, I don't know what the used market. Maybe there's a bunch of other guys building hot rods, and the Tesla
A
motor
lot.
is like the andile of well, but there's guys putting Tesla motors in not Porsches. They're putting them in all kinds of other things.
Oh,
I,
sure.
I don't know what the value of those. I know they're expensive. They're kind of the best motors to buy in the market. But I mean, when I look at that car,
I
I
feel
mean,
sorry for it.
when you see the
Honest,
hood, you're just like, okay, what is that? A fiberglass front end?
for
I
sure.
the fiberglass flares. Did they even bought? Did they do the rears in fiberglass also?
Mm,
And then they got the
I remember
ugliest
that car
mirrors. Are
weighed,
they?
he weighed it with the motor or with all the electronic, doodads, and it weighed like virtually nothing for what the horsepower was. And there's a driving video of him driving it, and he's not driving it very hard, but it looks like it wants to do a wheelie.
But I'm looking at the other pictures. The door fits like crap, and it's so sad. You look at the back end picture, and it looks like a '60s aluminum Coleman uh, cooler hanging out from underneath the car. It is.
It does.
It's so
Pictures of the back
unsettling.
are horrible.
Okay.
They're horrible.
Well,
And then, but don't forget, you're going to go turn this car into a hot rod. He's gusseted in this full roll cage. Do you know what that's going to be like cutting that freaking cage out of that car? You know what? $60,000. God bless him. Like that is a big money, I think, for that. Like
Well, the
that
guy's probably just going to
horrific.
take it and drive it as it is, right? I mean,
What
it's
else
kind
are
of
you gonna do
cool,
with
but
it?
the range is got to be terrible though.
well,
There's
but
got to be zero
you
range in
guys
this
touched
thing.
on something that we none of us know anything about. The whole underbelly of that thing with the Tesla stuff. It actually might be worth a hell of a lot more than we think. You know,
That's my point. Is I don't
we
know what
might be
that
the
is.
dummies here.
But
honestly.
but on this note of your car, did you see that BMW 2002? It closed
I
yesterday,
did. What'd that
and
sell for?
it no, it did not hit the reserve at 120 grand.
You know which
And
one
I
of
was
that is, Dave? It was a really beautiful,
a Gulf yellow,
yeah.
No,
early
I didn't see it.
round. I think it was a round tail light 2002 BMW that they did a $250,000 electrification build. Much better executed than the
Oh
green
yeah.
thing. It was really high end, but like the end of the day, like I understand doing electrifying a old 60s Volkswagen bus. That motor wasn't great.
Mhm.
There's nothing in, but the 2002 part of the experience is this really cool M10 four-cylinder hot rod, and there's so many cool motors you could put in that car. So I'm against electrifying a car that you're getting rid of the part of the thing that makes the car so charming. Same thing with the 911. If you want to go take, I mean, I had a Citroen SM with that Maserati motor. Hunk of shit, that motor. That car was not about that motor. That car
Well,
was about the
but the one thing,
suspension.
what we're not taking into consideration, and is that first of all, the 2002 was, if I remember correctly, was built in Germany by Germans and was like a German show car, the whole thing. So that thing is badass.
Yeah,
But there are probably a lot of places in the world where people would love to have that M10 2002 experience, but they get taxed to hell, or they're just
right.
simply not allowed to have it. And all over the world, all these very, green governments have essentially mandated EV type things. So could very well be that that car makes perfect sense for somebody.
I agree, but don't auction it off in a US auction. Go auction off and collecting cars in the UK. Like if you live in downtown London, that car makes a lot of
Except it
sense.
was left-hand drive and the car was in the States already. So, but
Right, which is
just for what it's worth, listeners, you got to subscribe to the newsletter because the amount of time and education that I was able to garner from doing all this research in these resto mods, it really is badass. One of the articles that I wrote was about the resto mods less than $500,000 and then less than a million that hold their value, lose value, or gain in value. And if you guys had to guess, if of all these nice resto mods that you know about, Alphaholics and all these others that you can come to mind, if we remove Singer, how many of those do you think hold value, let alone increase in value?
very few, if any.
Very few.
Exactly. I was really shocked by that. Honestly, I didn't know that. That's something that people don't talk about. These cars are depreciating. So,
Yep.
all right.
And they're
So
good. Yeah, they're good. I mean, you look at some of the alpha. I had a client buy an alcoholic and fly back east and drive it with him and his wife back cross country. And I think that car was a well into the six-figure build, and he got for about half off.
that's incredible.
Yep. Cool
I mean,
car.
that's the way to go. So you have some interesting cars for
So
your, go
yeah,
ahead.
as you know, I'm not a huge convertible fan, but I think when people go, "Ooh, there's no way to get a bargain in the market," I'm not saying this is your forever car, but I think if you start off in the Porsche world getting something that you may not exactly want, I've driven GT. This is a 2012, end of the 997.2 analog era. It's a GTS six-speed manual. That outside of a GT3 is the Halo car. If this, it's black on black. It had 44,000 miles, which I would call medium to medium high. It's there's nothing really. It's just a very basic build. It was kind of a low MSRP, but it has a center locks. It was a 112 MSRP, but it was a cabriolet. It hammered on Bring a Trailer for $83,000 without fees. If now it had one strike against it, it had an accident on Carfax. But and this car would have been much better in not on an auction platform. Like if I had this car, you can present it in a way that doesn't let the peanut gallery. Everyone used to see the closing comments. Oh, accident, I'm out. Here's what it was. This was before Carfax delineated between accident and damage. Something hit the door and it dented it hard enough that they didn't even have to paint the whole door. They had to clear the whole door, but they had to do some touch up, blending. Other than that, original paint, really well serviced. If this didn't have the accident and it had a hard top roof, it would have been 130 grand. And now, is this going to have future value? They made so few GTS manuals. I just think this car today, if it hadn't been an auction, had it been presented properly, like if I was going to sell this, I think I would have got about 20 grand more for the car.
I agree. And I'll tell you what's even worse is that car, anytime that goes for sale again, someone's going to Google the VIN. They're going to read all the shit comments on
Yep.
Bring a Trailer. And that car's got basically a Damoclean sword hanging over it forever, forever.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I get this once a week. Someone says, "Hey, can you sell my car?" And I always ask them for the VIN number. And the first thing I do is check the VIN. And if it's been on Bring a Trailer within the last year or two, I'm generally out. Oh, by the way, that was the other thing. This had what I call the Bring a Trailer or auction. We'll call it the auction anchor. It was
Yep.
on Bring a Trailer 3 years
3 years.
earlier,
Yep.
presented really poorly, and it bid to 82,000, sold for 82,000. So no matter how nicely this is presented or how much it's cleaned up, it has forever got this anchor because human nature says, "Oh, I don't want to be the one who overpaid," even though the market's different. And that's the problem I have, and one of the reasons I shy away from auction cars. And if you look at my cars I list, I keep the VIN private. I want those cars when they're sold and gone to protect not only myself and the seller, but the buyer. I want that car to disappear because when they're
Yep.
ready to sell it in 5 years, I want it to be a fresh car.
You
You
have that
know,
same opinion, Dave? Is that your approach?
Totally. I mask the VIN number on, or I put a partial VIN number up when I'm posting a car for that reason. You just don't want to have the whole total legacy of this car like out in the public, all the buyers, all the owners. Somebody that wants the car will look up the VIN, of course, and that's great, but you don't want to make it easy.
Well,
yep.
I mean,
there's a flip side to it too, though. If you had a really nice car, it was on Bring a Trailer, and people went ape shit for it, like that TR2 we bought, people just love
yeah,
that thing, you know? And
yeah.
then that's going to be lending well to its history. But the probability of having a bad experience with some of the commenters, especially, let's be honest, with the old long hood 911s, oh my
Oh yeah.
God, I don't know if there's what the hell? How do those guys know all that shit? It's
The only
incredible.
thing that's comparably as bad is the C2 Corvette listings.
I'm not familiar, but I'll
Big
take your word for
surprise.
it. Yeah, but the
But
long hood guys from like the early 911S registry are fantastic resources when you're trying to restore a car. But oh my gosh, if you don't get everything exactly right, they're going to let you know. And God bless them for it.
And to the listener, there are some cases where an auction really makes sense, but it's gotten to the point where you're foolish not to hire a professional to do
100%.
it. It's
It's
just like
easily
listing
worth
a house or
10%.
anything else.
Yeah, no, I
Easily.
agree. It's worth 10%. Because if you like you've seen auctions on BAT and all these other sites go south because the seller took too long to respond, or the seller didn't communicate well, or just wasn't like they were getting
They got
attacked and
pissed.
they didn't know
He
how to
got
handle
pissed
it.
off, right?
Yeah, they
Seller
didn't
gets
know how
pissed off and fires back at
exactly.
somebody, and
Their
it's
ego
it's
got
terrible.
worked up, and then all these they come on like a pack of freaking wolves and shred them, even if the car's really
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, the GTS cab, when you look at so to go back to every day, I look through the Bring a Trailer, what's sold, anything that's in my wheelhouse that I'm dealing with selling, Porsches mostly, I'll look and see I'll go to the auction, I'll look for just the highlights, but then I'll look at the closing comments. What did the peanut gallery think? In this GTS cab, the number one thing was the seller was absentee. They just left
Yep.
the building. And they didn't do a DME. They just sort of thought the thing would, I love it. It'll sell itself. If they win the first time they look at it and test drive it, they'll have to have it. And Tim, we all know, and Dave, 80% of my buyers, I never get to see. I
Yeah,
mean, our communications
that
email.
sounds really nice, honestly. That's a blessing. Let's be honest. Let's move on to this next one because actually I was going to use this one as my example because this one was really fascinating. Go ahead.
Oh, mine, the 89 turbo.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is an 89 930 Cabriolet turbo. They made so few of these, and 89s are the only ones with the 5 speed that everyone loves. Another conversation. I think they're overrated. Doesn't really matter. This one had 50,000 miles.
You think the
Baltic,
G50 and the 89 is overrated, not the cars. That's what you meant.
correct. Just the transmission. I
Yes.
love the cars. This one had 50,000 miles, which in 930 land is called medium ish for collector grade, medium high. It's Baltic blue, which if you look up, Baltic blue was pretty much an 89 only color. You saw it on 89 Speedsters. You saw it on even on 964s. It sold for Bring a Trailer just recently for $110,000. The things that held it back, the listing was mediocre at best. I mean, I try to find an interior shot that shows me the whole interior with the steering wheel. That was the best shot I could get. And they actually look like they spent money and they made that leather nicer. It's kind of got the drape leather, or it's got the piping. It's kind of a cool spec. Um, but my problem with this car, the photos in general were kind of meh. It had BBS period wheels on the car, which by the way, those wheels are worth good money separate because there's, I think, sevens and nines. But if I were selling it, I would have put reproduction maxi lights because the nines are ridiculously expensive. Let someone else do that. So at least looks right. I would have definitely cleaned it up. But here's going back to what I mentioned. In 2019, it had sold previously and it became another one of those auction anchors. It sold in 2000, it bid in 2019 to 89 grand and didn't sell. And I think that also kind of held it back. This car, I think in the long run, that is going to be a good buy. A cool color, 89 turbo cab. It'll never be the price of a coupe, but I think you clean this car up and in 5 years you roll it through Gooding at Monterey. I think I picture that thing doing a 150 to 175.
Well, he won't take it in Monterey, but it'll be a Gooding auction, not in Monterey. Yeah. I mean, probably Florida, Amelia or whatnot.
Or Moda,
100%
yeah.
though. Exactly.
Hmm.
But that car's, what do you think, Dave?
I would say I love the color, great car. I do think as you look it over and you're looking at all the details of the car, it's a little rough and ready in a few spots.
Definitely.
But the interior, at least the pictures I could piece together from the interior, I thought looked pretty clean, pretty decent, right? I mean, not bad at all. And I don't know. I look at that car, and if it was a coupe, what would it be? What did that have
160 to
been as a coupe?
180.
Think
Oh,
so?
right. Oh, I think actually if it was the right wheels were on it and the presentation was better, I would say it had a shot and it hadn't been on Bring a Trailer already. It wasn't an anchor. I have a shot. I think it had a really good shot of getting to 200.
Really? As a coupe,
89,
yeah,
89 manuals
yeah,
89 5-speed turbos. I
yeah.
forgot. They made a couple hundred.
I think you actually may have won our little challenge here, to be honest with you, because that car I think is the one that has the most overall long-term, bargain potential, or at least things that, were underpriced. Really, that car for 110 grand, it just
I just
seems.
don't like. I don't like it as a cab. That's the only thing for me. I mean, I've owned cabs. I mean,
You like
they're fun
Targas, you
cars.
don't like cabs. That's funny.
No,
But
no.
Dave,
Well, I do. I totally feel like I like a Targa way better than a cab.
I of the three of you, I hate cabs. I detest cabs. And I detest cabs on a 911 because they look stupid without a quarter window. They look like a freaking tent. They look horrible. Look how saggy that is. They'll never look good. They look and then when you put them down, they look like a Barbie Volkswagen with this wing tonneau cover over them.
You
They
are carrying around some shit for
I
decades, bro.
Yeah,
I
This,
well,
this,
know I
this is
wasn't
over
hugged enough.
30-year-old shit. This is like
by
almost,
people who own cabs.
this
But
is
here's
like
the thing about it.
40-year-old complaints.
But here's the thing about it. I look at it going, what I like and what I don't like from a resale standpoint, I don't, it doesn't matter. I'm probably in the minority most of the time. It's just what I like and don't like. But I look at
Yep.
that going, there is money on the table.
Oh yeah,
And there's
for
some
sure.
things that I don't know if the previous auction, the fact that you can Google the VIN and see all this shit, that's probably the worst part about this, not the actual car. And I look at that going, man, you put enough time and distance and you put it in an auction, an in-person auction setting or something where the VIN is not going to be Googled by the things, there's money on the table.
Do you remember when all the Porsches, this is back when you and I originally met, Paul, were being shipped back to Europe? So we'd go up to Car Week. Were you in the direct dealership business then, Dave? This would have been
No,
back in like '07,
no.
'08. Actually, before that, shit. This is
Yeah.
back in the early 2000s. Yeah,
This would
the
be
German,
2007, 8, 9, 10.
yeah, the Germans, you'd go to Car Week or wherever, and it was just wall-to-wall freaking Germans, and they were buying everything. And you go to all the restoration shops in Southern California, and you'd be tripping over Europeans coming and going that were just buying up incomplete projects. It was crazy.
Before 2012 or 13, that's when the prices went up. Two things happened. Americans were paying more for these cars than ever before, and the euro got really strong.
Yep.
I don't know, what was it, like 100, like a 140 to,
Right.
and over 40% of anything we had that was 30 years old or older went to, it was like, go drive it down to the port. It's going
Yep.
to Rotterdam.
They were
Everything
going to
went to
Long Beach.
Rotterdam.
They
Yep.
were. And some people took pictures of all these old cars just lined up to be put on the crates, to be put on ships, to be shipped off to Germany. It was
Yep.
extraordinary. And
It
now
was.
over time, those cars came back. A lot of them
Yeah.
came back.
Yeah, well, for instance, the we just sold that 88 Lagoon Green Targa. I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw that, bitch in color. California
Great
car.
color.
Then it spent its life with the same owner who was a designer for tennis shoes. The guy moved to Georgia, took the car with him, went to Florida, took it with him, went to Texas, took it with him. 2016, sells it to a guy in Germany. It lives in Germany for 5 years, and now it's back here in Southern California, going back to Florida.
Well, I bet you the original US cars are going to actually have their heyday because of the whole tariff thing, because the tariff thing's not going away, you
So they
know,
can bring it if it's a US car and it went to
originally.
Europe,
Right.
originally to Europe, it can come
Right.
back and you're just paying shipping insurance, no tariff.
Right. So my motor for the 550 Tribute, right, was a 4-cam 547. It was built new. None of the parts were ever. It was probably half original Porsche parts. Was built in Denmark, and so I had to freaking pay a $60,000 tariff. Surprise, surprise! I missed it by 4 days, so I had to pay a $60,000 tariff when I brought that in. So I've got 260 grand in that 4-cam motor. True story, right? But my friend who had a Jaguar D-Type at Pebble Beach also was bringing back some parts for that D-Type. And because the car was originally in the United States back in the 50s, he had no tariffs on all the things he was bringing back.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Huh.
Anyway,
Well,
so
there's
there
the
you
market.
go.
Someone can go over there, find all the US delivered cars and put them on containers, bring them back. There's a
Maybe
business model. Yeah.
reverse gray market. We'll have to think of a
Yeah.
name for it. Well, guys, I think we're wrapping it up as another great Full Throttle Talk. We miss you, Casey, if you're listening, if you stuck with us for the whole amount of time and listened. We missed your snarkiness. There would have been perfect opportunities here and there for your comments that I definitely will look forward to hearing on the next Full Throttle Talk. Guys, listen, thank you for continuing to support our little passion project. If you're in the car bit, if you're obviously your car enthusiast, but reach out to these guys. They're doing this for free. Actually, even worse, this podcast costs all of us money to do, right? So they're paying to do this. So,
Yes.
pay them a little bit of tribute and if given the opportunity, do business with them or at least send them some business. And yeah, it would be appreciative. And we're going to do the upcoming shows. We're going to do a list of must attend Porsche events that we're going to knock out hopefully still this year. We're going to do, setting car goals, but everyone wants to lose 30 pounds, but how many people want to set car goals? Well, we're going to do it for you on one of the next shows. If you have any, what we didn't do, but let's do it next time. We'll be getting a lot of really, really beautiful comments, people writing long form letters, showing appreciation. All that stuff means a ton to us. I usually get those first and I share them with the guys and we all sort of just really, I think don't you guys love that kind of feedback? Isn't it amazing?
Totally.
Well, yeah, because we sit here, we feel like we're in an echo chamber, just talking in our own padded cell to each other, and then all of a sudden you go, "Oh, there are people out there.
And they are listening, and
they
they love
are
what we're
listening.
saying. There are people from all over the world. So look,
I've offended everyone. Great.
Well, it's fun. If you have any comments, any suggestions, any pivots this way or pivots that way, let us know. And subscribe to the newsletter. And you can just reply to the newsletter and that goes directly to me, or there's ways to contact each of us at the bottom, or you can message us over on Instagram. But yeah, we're going to keep doing this. We're not going to try to go mainstream. We're not going to all of a sudden bring up Corvettes mostly to drive Kramer crazy. But other than that, we're going to stick with what we all have a passion for, which is the same thing that evidently all you crazies out there have a passion for. Oh, I'm going to leave this one closing thought. Guys, how many members of the PCA do you think there are in the United States?
25,000.
No, more than that.
Oh, yeah. Orange County region's over 1,000. So
160,000.
holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that might be international. I might be remembering this wrong. I was listening to PCA's podcast. So
Wait,
it's
how could it be international? It's Porsche Cars of America.
No, there's Porsche cars Germany, and I think you're right. But 160 was the number I'm remembering. So we have you Paul's think what I'm thinking. We have a lot of podcast listeners that we could still be finding. So help us find it. Share the word, subscribe, obviously, and all those things. And directly send the show to other people that you know that you might benefit from. In the meantime, you guys have a fantastic week, and we'll talk with all of you on the next Full Throttle Talk. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.